Chapter 211 The A Cup Ointment is opened. The divine plant cult conquers Shanghai City. The daughter of the Dean of the Evolution Academy betrayed to the Tianren Pavilion. Lu Juanmu arranged her to Song Yuan and asked Song Yuan to take her in, and then he couldn't wait to leave the institute and go to the Evolution building. He was narrow-minded and wanted to make fun of Ma Zhenhe now. Song Yuan knew what he was thinking. Looking at his departing back, she was a little speechless and said, "Dean, you are such a big man, but you are still so stingy." After that, she looked at Ma Ziwei beside her with a smile on her face, and her voice was particularly intimate. "Wai Wei, what's your full name?" "Ma Ziwei, Xi of Morning Light, Wei of Breeze." "It sounds so nice. Dean Ma is really good at naming." Song Yuan took Ma Ziwei's hand and said intimately like a big sister next door, "You can call me Sister Yan like Zichen and Hanan in the future." "Okay, I know Sister Yan. Come, I'll take you around the research institute to familiarize yourself with the environment. After the tour, I'll show you the research results of pure-blooded humans so that you can have a preliminary understanding. Then I'll teach you to practice blood quenching in 2 days." "Thank you, Sister Yan." The two chatted briefly and soon started to walk around the research institute. After seeing the two people walk away, Shen Qinghan quietly leaned into Lin Zichen's ear and said, "Did you see that Sister Yan just took Ziwei's hand? I feel that Sister Yan's sexual orientation is wrong." Lin Zichen disagreed, "She just likes to get close to beautiful girls. To say that her sexual orientation is wrong is not quite right. I saw her looking at the male stars in the online drama a few days ago. Do you think Sister Yan is bisexual?" Shen Qinghan asked. Lin Zichen, "Then I don't know." In a blink of an eye, more than half a month has passed. This morning, after Lin Zichen had breakfast, he tempered his body with Shen Qinghan on the balcony. Tempering until 11 o'clock in the morning. Breakthrough. Lin Zichen's progress in tempering his body has gone from the 4th tempering to the 5th tempering, and he has successfully tempered his body to the perfect state. To be more precise, he has cultivated the blood tempering technique to the perfect state. The perfection of the blood tempering technique does not mean the perfection of the body. Who? Lin Zichen slowly opened his eyes, exhaled deeply, and then a gratified smile appeared on his face. Finally, the 5th body tempering is complete. At this moment, he could clearly feel that the blood in his body became extremely strong, and the strength was comparable to that of a high-level 4th-level gene fusion. Before, to kill Zhou Suihong in seconds, he needed to punch him through the air. Now, he felt that he didn't even need to raise his hand, just a thought, he could rely on the biological pressure he released to suppress Zhou Suihong to the ground and make him unable to move. It's so fast. It's only been less than a year and you've perfected the blood tempering technique. Shen Qinghan next to him opened her eyes and said excitedly, if the Dean and Sister Yan knew about this, they would be so shocked that they would doubt their lives. Lin Zichen smiled and said, they are used to being shocked by me. I guess they won't react much knowing that I have perfected the 5th body tempering. Shen Qinghan suppressed the excitement on her pretty face and said with some sorrow, you evolve too fast. I feel like I have no hope of keeping up with you in this life. Lin Zichen was speechless, you sound very slow. You have only been practicing the blood tempering technique for a short time. Now you have perfected the 3rd body tempering. Are you not satisfied? Shen Qinghan perfected the 3rd body tempering last week, and her biological level evolved to the ordinary 9th level, the same level as the other 3 people in Tianren Pavilion. This evolution speed is comparable to riding a rocket. Anyone who sees it will be envious. You are talking without any pain. Shen Qinghan pouted and said, my progress in body tempering is exaggerated. Others can reach the ordinary 9th level after 1 great body tempering, but I need 3 great body tempering to reach the ordinary 9th level. How can we confuse them? Lin Zichen, your mentality is wrong. You can't be so ambitious. You have to be down to earth and take it step by step. No, I want to be ambitious. Shen Qinghan said, got up and walked to Lin Zichen and sat on his thighs, holding his neck with both hands, and said with a firm look. I don't compete with others, I only compete with you. I will always follow you closely and not be left behind by you. After listening to Shen Qinghan's words, Lin Zichen's heart was slightly touched. He relaxed his expression, kissed Shen Qinghan on her lips, and said gently, we will always go hand in hand in the future, and no one can get rid of the other. Yeah, I'm sure you can. Shen Qinghan took the initiative to kiss Lin Zichen, and hugged and kissed him on the balcony. Lin Zichen felt it as he kissed, and his hands began to wander around Shen Qinghan's body restlessly, kneading Shen Qinghan and making her moan from time to time. Don't, I'm going to pee. What are you afraid of? Change your pants when you pee. Only a seductive moan sounded, and the two quickly kissed each other tightly again, not afraid of being seen by the mechanical modified people who occasionally flew over the sky. Afternoon. After lunch, Lin Zichen sat on the sofa and read the news on his mobile phone. After a while, He habitually opened the school app to check the credit mall to see if there was any new exotic meat on the shelves. After a scan, he didn't see any new exotic meat. It was all pretty standard meat from a ragtag eagle, a living dead slug, a ghost squid, etc. No surprises at all. Just when Lin Zichen was about to exit the mall, with sharp eyes, he saw the dimensional rat meat that he was longing for in the best-selling products column at the top. It just came on the shelves a minute ago. It weighs more than 100 kilograms. Without thinking much, I placed all the orders immediately without leaving a pound behind. After placing the order, Lin Zichen murmured, the first 2 times, at most, I put more than 10 kilograms for sale. This time, there are so many. Is this a rip-off of the dimensional rat's nest? What fuck? Shen Qinghan, who was watching the show on the side, vaguely heard his murmur, raised his head and asked curiously. Lin Zichen explained, no, I just saw a lot of dimensional rat meat suddenly put on the shelves in the credit mall, and I wondered if I had copied the dimensional rat's nest. Oh, that's it. After Shen Qinghan finished speaking, he lowered his head and continued watching the show. 4:30 p.m. The dimensional rat meat ordered a few hours ago was delivered to your door. A total of 104 pounds. Lin Zichen unpacked it and took out 15 pounds of it and put it in the freezer. The remaining 89 kilograms were swallowed up in a single thought. You have swallowed a large amount of the life source of dimensional rats / Chapter 212, Enlightenment. Evolution into a high-level creature. The next morning, Lin Zichen and Shen Qinghan went to the research institute after breakfast. When it comes, Lu Juanmu stayed away all night. Song Yuan is still sleeping. Only Ma Ziwei, who had just joined a few days ago, was sitting in the living and leisure area and carefully browsing the information of a pure-blood human being. Morning, Ziwei. Shen Qinghan smiled and said hello. Ma Xi slightly raised his head to look at the 2 people who came in, and politely replied, good morning. Just a simple exchange of words. The 2 sides began to go about their own business without disturbing each other. Lin Zichen and Shen Qinghan found a place with better air circulation and sat down. The former is attacking the acupoints. The latter is in the quenching body. As for Ma Ziwei, she continued to browse the pure-blood human information in her hand. Actually, Ma Ziwei has many questions about the path of pure-blood humans and would like to ask Lin Zichen or Shen Qinghan. But seeing that the 2 of them were already sitting cross-legged practicing, they didn't bother them. Half an hour later, Song Yuan woke up. The mixed-race lady, who was nearly 30 years old, came out of the room wearing loose pajamas and her hair was messy, and walked slowly to the bathroom. As he walked, the semicircular curve of his upper body swayed, which was very eye-catching. It looked like he was not wearing any underwear. When Shen Qinghan saw this, he quickly moved his body to block Lin Zichen's sight and prevent him from seeing the turbulent Song Yuan. Song Yuan's figure was so hot that she was afraid that Lin Zichen would explode if she took one more look at it. Another half-hour later, Lu Juanmu is back. He was always going strong, but now he looked exhausted, as if he had been drained dry by the unsatisfied woman last night. Yuan Dongji, who was walking beside him, had a rosy complexion and full of energy, like a barren field that had been drought-stricken for a long time and had regained its vitality. Obviously, the woman who was dissatisfied with desire last night was Yuan Dongji. Since the research institute has no shortage of funds, Lu Juanmu rarely goes to his old friends to repair the garden. Basically they are together with Yuan Dongji. They often come in and out of the institute in pairs. It seems that there is an intention to remarry. Lin Zichen first glanced at Lu Juanmu, who was so depressed that he was about to die suddenly, and then looked at Yuan Dongji, who was wearing a cheongsam and revealing a pair of long legs, and couldn't help but sigh in his heart. It seems that Yuan Xiao is much more powerful than the Dean's old friends, and they are almost sucking the Dean dry. It is estimated that the cheongsam can increase the attack speed, which makes the Dean's kidney power overdraw. Well, after returning to the dormitory after the party, Han Bao was also asked to wear a cheongsam to be eye-catching. When Lin Zichen was thinking about these things, Yuan Dongji looked at him, and asked in a tone that was cold and gentle at the same time, Ziai Chen, why do I feel that the qi and blood in your body have become much thicker? From the moment she entered the door, she felt the extremely full energy and blood power from Lin Zichen. It's so full that it's almost overflowing. It's hard to believe that this is a freshman who has just turned 19 years old. Before Lin Zichen could answer, Shen Qinghan on the side said to Yurong, Master, Xiao Chen successfully tempered his body 5 times yesterday, and his qi and blood strength has increased by another level. The body has been tempered for 5 times. Lu Juanmu suddenly opened his eyes and said. He was originally looking sluggish, but after learning that Lin Zichen had completed 5 body temperings, he immediately became energetic. Lin Zichen nodded, yes, it has been tempered 5 times. Lu Juanmu felt it was unreal, and couldn't help but sigh, how long have you been practicing the blood tempering technique? In less than a year, you have actually perfected the body tempering technique 5 times. Your physical talent is too exaggerated. Yuan Dongji also said, he is indeed gifted. When she said this, her attention fell on the strength of qi and blood in Lin Zichen's body. Thoughts in my mind keep coming. Zichen's physical body is so strong, it must be both durable and extremely explosive. I don't know how King Han's delicate little body could bear it. I'm afraid I've been made to cry many times. Yuan Dongji, who had been fighting fiercely all night last night, now had his mind full of yellow waste. When he felt that the blood and energy in Lin Zichen's body were like a rainbow, he immediately thought about love between men and women. On the other side, Ma Ziwei listened to the conversation of several people and felt mixed emotions in her heart. When school started more than half a year ago, she still looked down upon Lin Zichen as an ant, thinking that he was a pure-blooded human because he was mentally ill. Now, only half a year has passed, and everything is reversed. Lin Zichen became an unattainable existence for her. And she herself also followed the path of pure-blooded humans that she had looked down upon before. It's really full of drama. Buzz buzz. Suddenly, Yuan Dongji's cell phone rang. She took out her cell phone and looked at it, and found that it was a call from the deputy governor. It was not Ye Yongsheng who was in charge of the source last time, but another woman who was in charge of the administration of the earth. The woman's name is Xiao Yu, and like Ye Yongsheng, she is a legendary powerhouse who has lived for thousands of years. Yuan Dongji didn't think much and quickly answered the phone in front of everyone. After all, they are not outsiders. As soon as the call was connected, an anxious female voice came from the other end of the phone. Toshiba. The Origin suddenly encountered a large-scale attack. Immediately summon the senior personnel from Shandong University and the Nanjiang Provincial Education Headquarters, and organize them to enter the entrances of number 34, 35, and 36 to resist. All the gene fusions must enter the Origin to fight, and the mechanically modified humans will all stand guard outside the entrance and be prepared for the entrance to be breached by the creatures from the Origin. The volume of Yuan Dongji's mobile phone was very loud, and everyone present heard what Vice-Governor Xiao said. Then, without exception, their faces changed slightly, feeling very sudden. Especially Yuan Dongji, his brows suddenly frowned, and the expression on his face was very ugly. As a rare-level powerhouse, she has entered many secondary origins in the years she has been alive, and she knows what large-scale attacks mean. The last large-scale attack was 15 years ago. At that time, her biological level had been stuck at the advanced 9th level for decades, and she was still unable to evolve. In order to evolve into a rare creature, she gave up the iron bowl rice arranged by her family and chose to take risks and join the team that resisted the attack. That attack lasted for 3 full years. During those 3 years, she fought hard to kill enemies and obtained a large amount of evolutionary resources, and finally evolved into a rare creature as she wished. Moreover, it has directly evolved to the rare 2nd level. Upgraded 2 levels in a row. However, not everyone is as lucky as her. Most of the people in this battle ended up dead. Former Minister of Education Headquarters of Nanjiang Province. Former President of Shanghai University. Even the former head of the Gao family in Kyoto, an epic powerhouse who lived for hundreds of years. Without exception, they all died in that large-scale resistance battle. I have something to do and I'll leave for a while so you can chat. After saying this, Yuan Dongji hurriedly left the research institute. Looking at Yuan Dongji's leaving figure, Lu Juanmu shouted with concern, Dongji, be sure to pay attention to safety. Good. Yuan Dongji cherished the words like gold and responded. Before the voice could even finish, the person had already disappeared from everyone's sight. Dean, if Principal Yuan is so powerful, he will definitely be fine. Seeing that Lu Juanmu was worried, Song Yuan comforted him. Lu Juanmu nodded, well, she is so strong, she will be fine. Even though he said this, he was still very worried and felt very unoptimistic about Yuan Dongji's intention to lead the team to the place of origin. He knew something about the large-scale attack 15 years ago. I know how dangerous it is inside the source. Just put it this way, a rare strong person who can dominate a place on the earth will not be ranked at all in a source land where giant beasts are as numerous as dogs and demons roam everywhere. As long as you step out of the human stronghold in the origin, you are at risk of falling at any time. Xiao Chen, do you think those terrifying creatures in the origin can really rush to the earth? Shen Qinghan held Lin Zichen's hand and said with worry in his eyes. Lin Zichen held her little hand in turn and said with certainty, they can't rush over. If they could rush over so easily, the earth would have been captured long ago. 2. Shen Qinghan breathed a sigh of relief. Lin Zichen, standing next to her, was exactly the opposite. At this time, he only looked calm on the surface, but in fact he felt extremely heavy inside. The rat plague in Yinghai country he saw on TV when he was a child is still vivid in his mind. Under the attack of countless giant alien rats, a large city with a population of nearly 10 million was instantly destroyed into ruins. Almost all of the Yinghai people inside became food for the giant alien rats, and the casualties were extremely heavy. If all the countries had not sent strong men to support in time, it is estimated that the small island country of Sakurakai would not be on the map now. Lin Zichen is worried that the land he lives in now will also suffer the same catastrophe that Yinghai Kingdom suffered. Just thinking about that horrific rat plague back then makes me feel desperate now. I hope my worries are unfounded. Lin Zichen thought to himself. That afternoon, the Dean of the Academic Affairs Office of Shanghai University announced that in the coming days, classes on the inner campus will be suspended indefinitely and all students will study on their own. After that, all the faculty and staff in the school who had advanced biology levels and above left the school in military helicopters before dark. They were divided into 3 groups and flew in 3 different directions, corresponding to the entrances of source areas number 34, 35, and 36 respectively. For a time, there was a lot of discussion in the inner campus. Almost all students were guessing what happened. So much so that the school actually announced an indefinite suspension of classes. Moreover, a large number of tutor school leaders left the school on military helicopters and disappeared without a trace. In the living room of the dormitory, Lin Zichen glanced at his phone. Every group chat was talking about the school suddenly announcing an indefinite suspension of classes, and then the tutor school leaders leaving the school one after another. Open the school forum. This is what every post talks about. Looking at the hot searches on Weibo, everyone is still talking about this matter. This time, the official did not suppress the heat, but allowed the public to discuss it. Lin Zichen frowned slightly, feeling a little bad. When the official no longer covers a matter, but chooses to let the public discuss it, it means that the matter will probably be made public. The reason why it is made public is often because the matter cannot be covered up. The creatures in the source land attacked the human stronghold on a large scale. If the authorities feel that they cannot cover it up, there is only one possibility. The authorities have no confidence in guarding the entrance to the source point, and there is a high probability that the creatures in the source land will rush into the earth. Thinking of this, Lin Zichen suddenly felt a great pressure. Hurry up and put down the phone. Dedicate yourself to the work of impacting the acupoints. If the disaster is really going to come, he, a small ordinary creature, can't stop it at all. The only thing he can do is to open the acupoints as soon as possible, evolve into advanced creatures, and gain more self-protection capabilities. Lin Ziai, what do you want to eat tonight? Shen Qinghan, who had just finished tempering her body, walked over and asked. Lin Zichen didn't even open his eyes. While impacting the acupoints, he said, I feel that the acupoints can be opened tonight, so I won't eat first. If you are hungry, you can eat first. Then I won't eat either. Shen Qinghan said and sat down aside, and followed Lin Zichen to impact the acupoints. She had just finished tempering her body, and now she was a little hungry and wanted to eat. But seeing that Lin Zichen didn't eat, she didn't have much appetite to eat either. She thought about attacking the acupoints with him, and eating together after he opened the acupoints. That's it. The two of them sat cross-legged quietly in the living room, concentrating on attacking the acupoints. From 3 p.m. to 8 p.m., they didn't stop. After 5 hours of attacking, Lin Zichen felt that his body was about to be overdrawn, his head was dizzy, and he was almost losing consciousness. But at the same time, the A-cup ointment that was being attacked became looser, and it felt like it could be opened at any time. For this reason, Lin Zichen could only persist until the A-cup ointment was opened. The same was true for Shen Qinghan on the side. At this time, she felt that her heart was about to stop suddenly due to the impact. Several times, her eyes went black and she almost fell to the ground. It can be seen that Lin Zichen was still insisting, and she also gritted her teeth and insisted, not wanting to fall too far behind Lin Zichen. As time passed by, unknowingly, the time had come to 9 o'clock in the evening. Lin Zichen felt extremely uncomfortable, as if his heart was pierced by a steel bar, and the pain was almost unbearable. The brain was also constantly sending messages. Stop. Stop now. There is no need to rush at this moment, it will be the same tomorrow. Lin Zichen ignored these messages and continued to attack the acupoints. 9 shallow and 1 deep. Keep rushing. When the time came to 9:09 p.m. Suddenly, Lin Zichen suddenly opened his eyes and said excitedly, it's opened. At the same time, Shen Qinghan on the side also shouted excitedly, Xiao Chen, I opened it. At the same time, the two opened the same A-cup ointment near the heart. At this moment, neither of them cared about sharing the joy. Instead, they calmed down their moods tacitly and felt their bodies with concentration. Let's see how the body after the acupoints are different from before. Lin Zichen felt it carefully and found that there was no change in the strength of the blood and spirit in his body, and there was no change in the strength of the spirit. However, the biological pressure is tens or hundreds of times stronger than before the acupoints were hit. Before the acupoints were hit, the biological pressure emitted by the body was only the ordinary 9th level. And now, the biological pressure emitted by the body is as high as the advanced 4th level. This is a continuous evolution of 4 levels. P.S. Put the bowl, ask for monthly votes and recommendation votes. End of this chapter. Chapter 213, Unsealing the Woman in the Ancient Bronze Coffin. Name, Lin Zichen. Age, 19. Creature level, Advanced, Level 4. Creature attributes, use it or lose it, natural wisdom, the strong prey on the weak, the fortune of melting water, survival of the fittest, eye of the sky, social animal, natural camouflage, danger perception, rapid self-healing, invulnerability to all poisons, high-level spirit, lord of the forest, storage space. Body tempering, skin tempering, 5, flesh tempering, 5, bone tempering, 5. Awakening, heart tempering, 1, brain tempering, 0, body tempering, 0. Lin Zichen called up the character panel and glanced at the data of each attribute on it. The creature level has evolved to advanced level 4. But the blood and spirit strength have not improved at all. So, the so-called A-cup ointment is just unlocking the upper limit of the creature level? Isn't this too useless? Lin Zichen frowned slightly, feeling a little disappointed. Just as he was disappointed, suddenly, he noticed that there seemed to be a slight difference in his body. The heart is different now. The blood transfusion power is about 10% stronger than before the opening of the orifice. The total blood and qi in the body has not changed, but the blood transfusion power of the heart has been improved. This means that the instantaneous explosive power of the blood and qi has been enhanced to a certain extent. There are 366 acupoints in total. Among them, 122 heart orifices, 122 brain orifices, 122 body orifices. Opening one heart orifice increases the explosive power of blood and qi by 10%. Then opening 122 heart orifices, according to 1.1 to the 122th power, the increase in the explosive power of blood and qi directly breaks through the sky. The increase is more than 100,000 times. A punch with 100,000 times the power, even the gods can't stand it. In addition, there are brain orifices and body orifices. If nothing unexpected happens, opening the brain orifice means that the explosive power of the spirit is increased. And opening the body orifice means that the strength of the physical body is increased. 100,000 times the explosive power of blood and qi. 100,000 times the explosive power of the spirit. And, 100,000 times the physical strength. This is so powerful that it is terrifying just to think about it. It is not an exaggeration to say that I will kill gods and Buddhas if they stand in my way. Lin Zichen, my biological level has evolved to the advanced first level, but there is no obvious change in my mental strength and blood strength, but the blood transfusion power of my heart has increased a little. Shen Qinghan felt the changes in herself and slowly opened her crystal clear peach blossom eyes and said. After that, she looked at Lin Zichen with a hint of curiosity and asked, "What about you, are there any special changes in your body?" Lin Zichen, I am the same as you, there is no obvious change in my mental strength and blood strength, but the blood transfusion power of my heart has increased a little, but my biological level has directly evolved to the advanced 4th level. How much? Advanced 4th level. Evolved 4 levels in a row. Yes. So amazing. For a moment, Shen Qinghan didn't know whether she should be happy or upset. Lin Zichen evolved 4 levels in a row, which was undoubtedly a happy event for her. But then she thought about it. After working so hard for so long, I finally caught up with Lin Zichen in biological level. We were both ordinary 9th level. But now, in the blink of an eye, I was pulled 3 levels behind. The gap was huge. I really felt that I was completely left behind. I couldn't see the hope of catching up. No. How could I have such an idea? If I was left behind, I was left behind. I couldn't feel bad about it. At this time, I should be happy for Xiao Chen with all my heart. I'm already very powerful. I'm just not as good as Xiao Chen. Besides, Xiao Chen is mine. If he's powerful, I'm powerful. I shouldn't force myself to keep up with him. I just need to be better than most people. Yes, that's it. Shen Qinghan counseled himself. The originally uncomfortable mood suddenly improved. There was only happiness, no discomfort. Lin Zichen, we are really destined to be together. Even our acupoints were opened at the same time. We are destined to be a perfect match. Shen Qinghan leaned into Lin Zichen's arms and said softly while hugging him, with a particularly intimate gesture. Lin Zichen stroked her hair gently and smiled gently, well, we are destined to be a perfect match. After dinner in the evening, Lin Zichen and Shen Qinghan did not even take a break, but went straight to the research institute. He wanted to share the good news that he had successfully opened his acupoints and evolved into a high-level creature with a pure-blooded human body with Lu Juanmu and Song Yuan in person. When the two arrived at the research institute, Lu Juanmu and Song Yuan were both in their respective rooms attacking their acupoints. Ma Ziwei was not there. She would only come to the research institute during the day, not at night. Lin Zichen called out Lu Juanmu and Song Yuan. He told them that he and Shen Qinghan had just successfully opened their acupoints. The moment he successfully awakened, he broke the shackles of ordinary creatures with his pure-blooded human body and evolved into a high-level creature. One is a high-level fourth-order creature. One is a high-level first-order creature. Lu Juanmu and Song Yuan were shocked when they heard it. They both knew that Lin Zichen would definitely evolve into a high-level creature, but they didn't expect that he would evolve directly to a high-level fourth-order creature. Directly evolving from an ordinary ninth-order creature to a high-level fourth-order creature by leaping 4 levels, what kind of cheating evolution is this? It's too outrageous. Shen Qinghan was also shocked by the two. Neither of them expected that Shen Qinghan would be able to open up on the same day as Lin Zichen. You know, Shen Qinghan joined the research institute midway. This can allow her to catch up with Lin Zichen's progress, which is really incredible. Brother Zichen, Sister Hanin, you two are too abnormal, aren't you? Sister Yan was at least the second place in the college entrance examination in Kyoto, and was praised as a genius and beautiful girl, but compared with you two, I was pressed to the ground like a disabled person. Alas, it's really a deadly comparison. Song Yuan sighed with envy. Shen Qinghan comforted, no, Sister Yan is talented, has a good figure, and is beautiful. I don't know how many girls envy you and how many boys admire you. Haha, Sister Hanin is really sweet, come, give Sister Yan a taste and see if it's really sweet. Song Yuan said and was about to kiss Shen Qinghan's little mouth. Shen Qinghan was stunned for a moment, and after reacting, she quickly took a small step back. She looked at Song Yuan and forced a smile, saying, Sister Yan, please don't joke with me. I'm shy and will be embarrassed. Song Yuan stopped, bent her beautiful light blue eyes, and smiled, I'm just teasing you. Only Brother Zichen can kiss your little mouth. Sister Yan knows. She was not joking. If Shen Qinghan hadn't stepped back a little, she would have really kissed him. Shen Qinghan's cherry mouth looked pink and tender, and must taste very good. She really wanted to have a taste. Lu Juanmu looked at Song Yuan and said unhappily, you are such a grown-up and still making these jokes. If you want to kiss, find a man to fall in love with. When you find one, kiss however you want and wherever you want. Don't scare Qinghan like an nympho. Song Yuan didn't take it seriously, it's so boring to find a boyfriend. It's better to be single. You don't need to consider the other person's feelings and do whatever you want. Lu Juanmu, you are a guy who has high standards for choosing a partner but low skills. You don't like ordinary people. You only fantasize about the Prince Charming in your mind and laugh at the male actors in TV dramas every day. Song Yuan was dissatisfied, Dean, your words are so hurtful. Lu Juanmu, lies don't hurt people, the truth is the sharpest knife. Song Yuan waved her hand, forget it, I won't talk to you anymore. If I say 2 more words to you, I will lose at least 10 years of my life. Every word Lu Juanmu said caused critical damage to her accurately. She couldn't stand it anymore and chose to avoid fighting. Although it is shameful to escape, it is useful. Lu Juanmu ignored the great spirit Saint Song Yuan. He turned to look at Lin Zichen and Shen Qinghan, stroking his half-white beard and said, since you two have evolved into advanced creatures, it's not too late now. I'll take you to see the ancient bronze coffin. It just so happens that the ancient bronze coffin has turned green these days. If you are not careful, you can try to communicate with the pavilion master of Tianren Pavilion in the coffin to see if you can unseal her and let her out. I will contact my acquaintances now and find a few more companions for you, so that you don't feel insecure. After speaking, Lu Juanmu took out his mobile phone and started calling the big shots he knew, asking them to accompany Lin Zichen to unseal the pavilion master of Tianren Pavilion. He had already made arrangements with these big shots a few months ago. Now he just needs to notify these big shots and see who is free to accompany him. No one answered the number you dialed. The number you dialed is powered off. The number you dialed, beep beep. Lu Juanmu dialed more than 10 numbers in a row, but none of them went through. The big shots he knew seemed to have evaporated from the face of the earth, and none of them could be contacted. It's strange, why can't I get through? 1 or 2 is fine, but more than 10 can't get through in a row, this is too outrageous. As Lu Juanmu said this, he suddenly remembered the call Yuan Dongji received that day, and murmured, did they all go into the source to resist the invasion? It's bad, it's probably that they all went into the source. Lu Juanmu frowned, looked at Lin Zichen and said, Zichen, we can't find a companion tonight, let's go another day. By the end of the year, the bronze ancient coffin will be green again. I'll take you there then. It's not even June yet. If we wait until the end of the year, we'll have to wait for another half a year. Lin Zichen thought for a moment and said, Dean, why don't we go there tonight? It will be too long if we wait until the end of the year. It doesn't matter if we don't have someone to accompany us. He thought that he had danger sense, so if he really encountered danger, he could run away immediately. There was nothing to worry about. After hearing what he said, Lu Juanwu stroked his beard and nodded, then let's go tonight. The unrest in the source will last at least 1 or 2 years. We may not be able to wait until the end of the year to wait for someone to come to accompany us. That's it. The two hit it off and soon set off for the location of the bronze ancient coffin, the Li family mansion. Shen Qinghan and Song Yuan also went with them. As for Ma Ziwei. First, she is not here. Second, she is too new. She has just joined Tianren Pavilion and embarked on the path of pure-blooded humans not long ago. The 4 of them have not yet completely accepted her. Therefore, the 4 of them did not think of calling her along. Source number 36. City Stronghold. Outskirts. The ground was covered with yellow sand and the sky was filled with dust. The Lord of City number 36, a powerful man with an epic biological level, was leading a large number of powerful men to fight against the incoming army of alien beasts. A large group of black giant elephants of magic rock. Each of these giant elephants of magic rock was as huge as a small mountain, with an average body size of more than 30 meters. The Elephant King, who was the leader, was an exaggerated 100 meters tall. Every step he took would bring a terrifying earthquake. Boom! A terrifying sound of breaking through the air exploded. The Elephant King swung his trunk, which was dozens of meters long, and swung it towards the crowd below, trying to crush the earthlings who blocked the elephant's attack into a pool of meat paste. Just when the trunk was about to fall on those people, the Lord of City number 36 took action in time. He controlled a giant hand made of sand and stone, and slapped the Elephant King with a palm that covered the sky and the sun. Soon, there was a loud boom. The giant hand of sand and stone slammed down on the trunk of the Elephant King, breaking the trunk, which was as strong as S-grade alloy, into 2 pieces. The powerful impact also sent the Elephant King, which was 100 meters tall, flying away. It flew several miles away. The Elephant King fell heavily to the ground, creating a large and shocking spider web crack. There is a large group of ghost-eyed demon eagles flying towards the city at high speed in the west. Those who are good at flying should go and stop them. The Lord of City number 36 said this, and then immediately rushed to the Elephant King to make up for it. Several strong men on the battlefield immediately turned into streams of light and soared into the sky, flying to the west at high speed to stop the large group of ghost-eyed demon eagles that were attacking. Yuan Dongji, who had just entered the source yesterday, was also among these strong men. Catch the king first, everyone, follow me to kill the Eagle King first. A general of City number 36, a man with a stubble on his face, shouted loudly. After hearing this, several people followed him to kill the Eagle King, which was more than 20 meters long. Yuan Dongji immediately had an idea, and drew out the underground water source below, condensed a water dragon of tens of meters long, and followed the people in front to kill the Eagle King. A few hours later, the Elephant King, whose biological level was as high as epic level, was seriously injured by the Lord of City number 36 of the same level, and had to flee with the elephants, temporarily giving up the attack on City number 36. The Eagle King, whose biological level was as high as rare level, was killed by Yuan Dongji and others, and the sky was stained with blood. Everyone, follow me to charge, and kill these damn beasts. A deputy city lord covered in blood shouted loudly. When the Lord of City number 36 heard this shout, he shouted immediately, "Don't chase, clean up the battlefield and return to the city quickly." He had only one mission at the number 36 source base, which was guard the biological passage below the city and prevent the source creatures from regaining control. Besides that, he didn't need to worry about anything else. After hearing the shout from the Lord of City number 36, everyone stopped chasing. Started to clean up the battlefield and collect spoils. While cleaning up the battlefield, Yuan Dongji flew to the side of the Lord of City number 36 and asked in a slightly lowered posture, "Lord He, have you been to the main city recently?" Hemuji looked up at her and said, "Yuan Xiao, do you have anything to ask?" "Yuan Dongji, I want to ask, how is my eldest apprentice Luo Kyungsu now?" Hemuji said lightly, "Still the same, unsociable and unwelcome." "So?" Yuan Dongji nodded and stopped asking. At this time, Hemuji added, "The team of geniuses she belongs to followed Deputy City Lord Ning of the main city to raid the Twisted Valley 2 days ago. If you want to visit her in the main city, forget it, you won't be able to see her. During this period, you should stay in city number 36 to resist the monsters, don't think about anything else." The city lord misunderstood, "I just asked about her recent situation, I didn't plan to go to the main city." Yuan Dongji explained in a very humble manner. "Hemuji, that's good." After speaking, he looked around and shouted to everyone present, "Return to the city." The moment the voice fell, everyone took the spoils they had packed back to the city for supplies, ready to fight against the next wave of monsters. Yuan Dongji flew back to the city with several huge corpses of ghost-eyed demon eagles in the air. On the way back, there was always a trace of sadness between her eyebrows. The eldest disciple has been in the main city for 11 years, but still hasn't been able to integrate into the team of extraordinary geniuses. This autistic personality is really worrying. It's not as good as the timid little disciple. Although the little disciple is introverted and timid, at least he is willing to communicate with others, has a boyfriend, has little sisters, has all the necessary social interactions, and is much healthier mentally. P.S. Put the bowl, ask for monthly votes and recommendation votes. End of this chapter. Chapter 214 The Master of Tianren Pavilion who can satisfy any need. Twisted Valley. At a glance, there are twisted plants of strange shapes everywhere. Strange trees with wriggling blood vessels all over the trunk. Vines winding like snakes. Strange flowers with a large number of insect corpses attached. The whole valley is full of weirdness. You just guard the periphery and kill the pagans who escape from inside, understand? On the periphery of the valley, a man with 6 wings on his back and feathers on his body said to the young men and women in front of him in a loud voice. The moment the voice fell, the young men and women immediately responded. Understood. 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 The voices came one after another, and everyone responded with military standard discipline. Except for a girl with snow-white hair. She was wearing a white martial arts uniform, holding a red tasseled spear taller than her, standing alone under a tree quietly, without saying a word. From a distance, she looked like an exquisite wood carving. The 6-winged man glanced at her, and seeing that there was no reaction on her face, he couldn't help shaking his head. They have all lived in the human settlement for 11 years. Still silent, like a mute. Not being able to integrate for so long probably means not being recognized, which means that one day they may rebel. Those who are not my kind must have different hearts. Forget it, this is not something I should consider. The people above have their own ideas. I am just a small deputy city lord, why do I have to consider so much? After thinking about it, the 6-winged man shouted to the people on the other side. Everyone follow me into the valley and kill those beasts of the God Plant sect. As soon as the voice fell, he spread 6 wings several meters long and instantly soared to a height of 100 meters. In a way of advancing on both land and air. With a group of rare-level strongmen under his command, he rushed into the valley with great momentum. As the number 1 deputy city lord. The mission of this trip is to destroy a branch of the God Plant sect stationed in the Twisted Valley. By the way, train the 28 people on the list of alien-level geniuses to accelerate their growth. After the number 1 deputy city lord led people into the valley. The remaining 28 alien geniuses, all armed with weapons, were on standby, guarding the entrance and exit of the valley. As time went on, everyone felt that it was too boring to just guard, so they started chatting to kill time. I heard that all the strongholds are now attacked by the alien army, and all the strong men on the earth have entered the source to help resist. It is probably the work of the God Plant Church again. This God Plant Church is really difficult to deal with, no matter how hard you try, you can't kill them all. It must be difficult, God knows how many human high-level people are pagans of the God Plant Church themselves, I won't be surprised if it is revealed that the State Lord is a traitor one day. Akong, please think before you speak, don't speak without thinking. Luo Kyungsu leaned against a tree, staring at the entrance and exit of the valley silently. She didn't chat with others, but she was always listening to others chatting. When she heard that all the strong men on earth had entered the source, her expressionless and cold pretty face could not help but show a fleeting emotion. She missed Yuan Dongji very much and wanted to meet the master who rescued her from the snowy mountains. There is movement, everyone prepare to fight. Suddenly, a young man with ears several times larger than those of ordinary people, clenched his weapon and shouted. He had extraordinary hearing and sensed that there were several high-energy bodies rushing towards the entrance of the valley at a distance of thousands of meters. Upon hearing this, the others immediately stopped chatting and entered the combat state in an instant. The blood in the body became extremely full and ready to go. The most powerful blow could be launched at any time to severely injure or even kill the enemy. Watch your feet. The big-eared young man reminded everyone loudly. The next second, countless thick vines soared into the sky and suddenly attacked the geniuses present. At the same time, several figures flashed out of the valley, and while the geniuses were busy dealing with the vines, they fled as fast as possible. Some traitors from the God Plant Church have escaped, don't let them run away. Someone saw the pagans escaping from the valley and shouted a warning. However, it was useless to remind them. At this moment, everyone was entangled by the vines, and they could not stop them in a short time. They could only watch the pagans escape. Just when everyone thought that the pagans were going to escape, suddenly, a large piece of ice flowers spread under Luo Kyungsu's feet. Once these ice flowers appeared, they rushed towards the pagans at a speed that was difficult to see with the naked eye. In just a blink of an eye, they were frozen into ice sculptures, unable to move. Seeing this scene, everyone present had a look of surprise on their faces, and a deep sense of powerlessness surged in their hearts. Too strong. Ming Ming is only 19 years old. Ming Ming's biological level is only advanced level 5. Moreover, she has not yet fused with the genes of alien beasts. However, the strength she has shown is far beyond her age, far beyond her biological level, and far beyond any gene fusion of the same level. Luo Kyungsu, this alien, is really a monster in human skin. Given time to grow up, I am afraid that she can freeze thousands of miles in a single thought, and her upper limit is sky high. Li's mansion. Garage entrance. A luxury car worth tens of millions of dollars was driving from a distance at extremely high speed. As he was about to approach the entrance of the garage, a dragon swung its tail and drifted into the garage, which had remotely raised the railing in advance. Soon, 4 people got out of the car. It was Lin Zichen, Shen Qinghan, Lu Juanmu, and Song Yuan. Song Yuan retched as soon as she got out of the car. She said with a distressed look on her face, "Dean, you drove so fast to reincarnate, you almost made me vomit." Lu Juanmu said, "Just vomit, just think of it as experiencing morning sickness in advance. Anyway, you have reached the age of becoming a mother." Song Yuan was convinced and complained, "Dean, can you stop telling me that 9 out of 10 sentences you say ask me to find a boyfriend, or ask me to be a mother or something like that? I'm not your daughter, so your control is too lenient. Do you know how annoying this is?" The more Song Yuan talked, the more dissatisfied she became, and she felt like she wanted to punch Lu Juanmu hard. Lu Juanmu didn't care about her feelings at all, he just said, "A yellow-haired girl in her 20s is not yet my daughter. At best, she can be my granddaughter. No, it's the great-granddaughter. No matter how you say it, I am almost 100 years old." Lu Juanmu stroked his white beard to show his age. He's almost 100 years old and can still do it 7 times a night. You can also fight fiercely from night to the next morning. Just asking if you are awesome. Song Yuan didn't think he was awesome, she just thought he was old and disrespectful, so she said with a sigh, "Repay it to Grandpa, you are more like a bad old man." When the two of them were bickering back and forth, Lin Zichen spread his mental power to the entire Li family mansion, scanning every corner like a horse. This dilapidated old house looks to be 100 years old, with a construction area of tens of thousands square meters. There are gardens, swimming pools, private cinemas, independent training rooms, etc. But most of them are abandoned. Dust everywhere. The walls are covered with various vines. Finish sensing these places on the surface. Lin Zichen's mental power spread further and penetrated into the basement beneath the mansion. In the basement, he sensed a large number of ancient books and artifacts. The number is far greater than those piled in the corner of the institute. As the perception continues to deepen. Soon, Lin Zichen saw a coffin at the end of the basement. The top is oval, the bottom is flat, and the whole body is green. The surface is engraved with mysterious and unknown runes. It looks like an emerald round arch with carved patterns in the ancient royal courtyard. And this is the ancient bronze coffin that Lu Juanmu kept mentioning. Lin Zichen had seen this ancient bronze coffin in a photo and recognized it at a glance. He was very curious about the master of Tianren Pavilion lying in the ancient coffin, and without thinking too much, he spread his spiritual power into the ancient coffin. "I want to see what the legendary Tianren Pavilion master inside looks like." It's a pity that after trying several times in a row, it didn't work, and the radiated spiritual power couldn't spread at all. Every time he touches the ancient bronze coffin, his mental energy will be bounced away. This can't even be touched, let alone spread inside. You are less than 20 years old in bone age, but your biological level has reached advanced level 4, and your mental strength and energy and blood strength are synchronized. To be able to do this in a world where resources are scarce, I have to say that you are indeed a rare person. The genius. Suddenly, such a gentle female voice sounded in Lin Zichen's heart. He speaks modern Kyushu dialect. The voice sounded a little weak. Lin Zichen couldn't help but be stunned for a moment when he heard this sudden voice. Then he quickly realized that it was the master of Tianren Pavilion in the ancient bronze coffin who was speaking. To be more precise, it is telepathy. Thinking about it, Lin Zichen looked at Lu Juanmu on the side and said, "Dean, the master in the ancient bronze coffin just sent me a spiritual message." Psychic transmission. Lu Juanmu looked surprised, and then asked, "What did the pavilion master tell you?" Lin Zichen briefly summarized, "To say that I can still be so strong on an earth with scarce resources is a rare genius." Lu Juanmu was even more surprised after hearing this. "She told you so much?" Lin Zichen, "Yes." Lu Juanmu looked incredulous. "I remember that the state of the pavilion master was very bad. When he talked to me, he basically just said and then he had to fall asleep and rest." Song Yuan interjected, "The pavilion master must have sensed the strength of qi and blood in Zichen's body, and he immediately became energetic. As for the fact that I always fall asleep after saying when talking to you, it's probably because the pavilion master feels that talking to you is too tiring and doesn't want to talk to you." Lu Juanmu couldn't help but twitch the corner of his mouth slightly when he heard this. Yuan is really stingy. Didn't he just say a few words to her and ask her to quickly find a man to get married? As for letting go of this strange charade? I don't know how to be more generous like me. After complaining about these words in his heart, Lu Juanmu said to Lin Zichen, "Come on, Zichen, let's go see the pavilion master quickly, lest the pavilion master consume too much and fall into a deep sleep later." After saying that, he walked quickly towards the basement. Lin Zichen saw this and quickly followed. Shen Qinghan and Song Yuan followed closely behind. Just a moment. Everyone came to the basement where the ancient bronze coffin was located. The basement at this time was dark and silent. But it's full of vitality. Gives people a sense of wonder that everything is revived. Lu Juanmu took a step forward and said to the bronze coffin in a very respectful voice, "Pavilion Master, can you hear my voice?" "Yes." A weak female voice came from the bronze coffin. With a bit of fairy spirit, it sounded very pleasant. Lin Zichen listened to this voice and compared it with the voice that just sounded in his mind, and found that it was exactly the same, without any difference. This proves that it was indeed the pavilion master of Tianren Pavilion who was transmitting his mind to him just now. Telepathic transmission. What kind of method is this? Is it a spiritual method? When the pavilion master of Tianren Pavilion is completely revived, I should be able to ask her for advice. Lin Zichen thought to himself. At this time, Lu Juanmu in front of him spoke again respectfully, "Master, these three are the three young geniuses I mentioned to you before. This is Song Yuan, 29 years old, second time body tempering, an ordinary 9th level biological level. This is Shen Qinghan, 19 years old, third time body tempering, an advanced 1st level biological level. This is Lin Zichen, 19 years old, 5th time body tempering, an advanced 4th level biological level." There was silence in the bronze coffin. There was no response. Lu Juanmu waited for a while, and seeing that the bronze coffin was still dead silent, his face changed slightly. "It's bad. Could the master of the pavilion fall into hibernation?" Just then, the voice of the pavilion master of Tianren Pavilion sounded again in the bronze coffin. "Lin Zichen, my body is extremely weak now, and I need you to transfer some blood and energy to help me recover. In return, I will do my best to meet any needs you put forward. Are you willing to transfer blood and energy to me?" This was said very politely, without any intention of forcing. It doesn't seem like the style of the pavilion master. When listening to the words of the pavilion master of Tianren Pavilion, Lin Zichen's attention was almost entirely on danger perception, always paying attention to the state of this biological attribute. This biological attribute that can predict danger has no reaction from beginning to end. This means that the pavilion master of Tianren Pavilion has no ill will towards him. Thinking of this, Lin Zichen retracted all his thoughts and said without hesitation, "As a member of Tianren Pavilion, I am willing to unconditionally provide the pavilion master with blood and energy." Unconditional? It's just a rhetoric to win favor. Free is the most expensive. "Very good, after I recover, I will keep my promise to meet any of your needs." The voice continued to sound in the bronze coffin, "Now you come to the ancient coffin, I will teach you how to transport blood and chi for me to help me recover." "Okay." Lin Zichen responded. Then he walked slowly towards the bronze coffin. While walking, he always focused on danger perception. If the situation is not right, he will leave immediately. "Pavilion Master, Shen Qinghan is also a high-level creature, she can also transport blood and chi for you." Lu Juanmu reminded. A voice came from the bronze coffin, "Her blood and chi are not necessary." Hearing this, Shen Qinghan's long eyelashes could not help but move slightly. "I seem to be disliked. Uncomfortable." While Shen Qinghan was uncomfortable, Lin Zichen had already walked to the bronze coffin and stopped. During this period, danger perception still had no reaction. Very reassuring. "Put your hand in the center of the cover, and then release the blood and chi." The pavilion master of Tianren Pavilion in the ancient coffin said slowly. "It's that simple?" Lin Zichen raised his eyebrows, feeling a little surprised. But he didn't hesitate too much, and quickly reached out and pressed the center of the coffin cover. Then, he began to release his blood and chi according to what the pavilion master of Tianren Pavilion said. P.S. Put the bowls, and ask for monthly votes and recommendation tickets. End of this chapter. Chapter 215. The head of Tianren Pavilion comes out of the coffin. Twin light and dark fruit. In an instant, rich energy and blood surged out of Lin Zichen's palm. In the shape of strands. They rushed to the coffin cover under their palms. The moment it came into contact with the power of chi and blood, the runes on the surface of the ancient coffin immediately glowed with a faint red light. As more chi and blood come into contact, the red light on the runes becomes more dazzling. Lin Zichen looked at the runes on the ancient coffin and couldn't help but think of the runes he saw that day in the coastal forest, where water beads turned into runes that lingered around Shen Qinghan. The master of the Tianren Pavilion lived a very long time ago, and maybe she knew Hanin's runes. Well, I have to find a chance to ask afterwards. Just thinking about it, Suddenly, Lin Zichen found that the energy and blood in his body was rapidly draining away. It is a passive loss, not an active release. The ancient bronze coffin under the palm, after absorbing the power of qi and blood released by Lin Zichen, began to actively absorb the power of qi and blood in Lin Zichen's body. Absorbs extremely quickly. Like a black hole, it sucked away most of the energy and blood in Lin Zichen's body in an instant. Having lost too much blood in a short period of time, Lin Zichen felt a little uncomfortable, as if he had just finished tempering his body. The ancient bronze coffin in front of him, or to be more precise, is the master of the Tianren pavilion in the ancient coffin. It is really breathtaking. Suck it hard and fast. She looked like a wife who had been starved by her husband for several years, looking dissatisfied with her desires. In response, Lin Zichen frowned slightly. But it did not stop delivering the power of qi and blood. He just silently took out a high-level blood-restoring pill from the storage space, then opened his mouth and calmly ate it to replenish his energy and blood. With the blessing of the resurrection pill, Lin Zichen felt much better. Whatever the master of Tianren pavilion sucks. Just don't drain people dry all at once. That's all. While Lin Zichen was taking the blood rejuvenation pill, he asked the master of the Tianren pavilion in the ancient bronze coffin to suck it. Seeing that a few minutes had passed, Shen Qinghan couldn't help but said worriedly. Dean, it's been so long, why haven't the transmissions been completed yet? If this continues, Xiao Chen will be injured due to too much loss of energy and blood. It's okay. The pavilion master and Zichen must be aware of it. If they are still going on, it means the problem is not big. Lu Juanmu consoled him. Shen Qinghan still felt worried, but said nothing more. He just looked at Lin Zichen quietly and paid attention to his physical condition. Once it is discovered that something is wrong with his physical condition, he will go to rescue as soon as possible. In front of the ancient bronze coffin, Lin Zichen took out 3 high-level blood-restoring pills and threw them into his mouth to replenish the energy and blood that was losing faster and faster in his body. I complained in my heart that the master of Tianren pavilion was too good at sucking. It's been almost 10 minutes since this transmission, and I'm still not fed enough, and I'm still sucking hard. He would ask politely if he wanted to be sucked before he started sucking, but why did he become so rude after he started sucking? There is a sense of déjà vu that I just can't get into. Let's face it, the master of Tianren pavilion is a scumbag who is good at smooth talk. Some don't think about this. A blink of an eye. Subscribe to Chinese Novel Audio Wave. 20 minutes passed. At this time, the runes on the ancient bronze coffin gradually dimmed. Stop absorbing the energy and blood in Lin Zichen's body. Then, a thick and rough grinding sound was heard. The cover of the ancient bronze coffin moved. When Lin Zichen saw this, he immediately took his hand away from the cover and took 2 steps back. During this period, he kept staring closely at the ancient bronze coffin, full of curiosity and expectation for the scene that was about to happen next. The 3 people behind him did the same, all looking intently at the ancient bronze coffin. However, after waiting for a long time, there was no movement at all. Not as expected, the master of Tianren pavilion quickly raised his coffin. If nothing else, recovery should take some time. Seeing that there was no movement in the ancient bronze coffin for a long time, Shen Qinghan walked lightly to Lin Zichen. She stood on her tiptoes slightly and put her little cherry mouth to Lin Zichen's ear. For fear of disturbing the master of the Tianren pavilion in the coffin, she said in a very soft and caring voice. How do you feel physically? Is it uncomfortable? Lin Zichen was sucked by the master of Tianren pavilion for almost half an hour. She was worried that Lin Zichen's body was seriously damaged. It's okay, just take a rest and you'll be fine. When he said this, Lin Zichen's eyes did not leave the ancient bronze coffin for a second. About half a minute later, the ancient bronze coffin moved. The ancient bronze coffin that was originally lying flat suddenly stood up on the spot. Like an upright refrigerator, place the side with the lid facing the 4 people in front of you. Immediately afterwards, the thick cover slowly moved away. Accompanied by a burst of ancient fragrance, an ancient woman wearing a Taoist robe slowly walked out of the ancient bronze coffin. She has shawl hair, waist-length hair, a graceful oval face, deep eyes, a straight and delicate nose, and sexy and tender lips, like a peach soaked in morning dew, very alluring. Looking down, the loose robe she was wearing was already showing signs of decay. It felt like she could tear it into pieces of cloth all over the floor with just a gentle tug, revealing a snow-white body. But no matter how decayed the Taoist robe is, she still gives people an air of immortality, like a fairy in a mythical novel. Lin Zichen did not appreciate the beauty of the master of the Tianren pavilion, and focused all his attention on the other party's rotten loose robe. He thought that as the founder of the blood tempering technique, the master of Tianren pavilion must have a very high status. And high status means that the clothes she wears must be of excellent quality. It may even be a priceless magic weapon. It is a magic weapon in itself, and it is preserved in an ancient bronze coffin. Under normal circumstances, it should be preserved intact even after thousands or tens of thousands of years. However, the Taoist robe worn by the pavilion master of Tianren Pavilion in front of him has been rotten to the point that it looks rotten if torn. It is conceivable how long she has been lying in the ancient bronze coffin. It is estimated that the unit is epochs. Lin Zichen did not think much about this, and quickly used danger sense to peek into the biological information of the pavilion master of Tianren Pavilion to determine what level of existence the other party is. Then, as expected, nothing can be sensed. It is obvious that the pavilion master of Tianren Pavilion must be at a very high level, and danger sense cannot peek into her biological information. On the other side, Qi Qingmo, who was in front of the ancient bronze coffin, sensed that someone was peeping at her biological information. Following the direction of the perception, she raised her eyes and looked at Lin Zichen in front of her. Then she said with her red lips, "You dare to peek at other people's biological information at the advanced stage. You are very brave. Is he actually noticed?" Lin Zichen opened his eyes wide and was very surprised. Then he immediately stopped using danger sense, so as not to displease the unfathomable Tianren Pavilion master. Qi Qingmo was not displeased. She just reminded him out of kindness for Lin Zichen's good, rather than being displeased and warning him. "Dean Lu, how many members do we have in Tianren Pavilion now?" Qi Qingmo looked at Lu Juanmu and asked. Her speaking style was very modern, not as literary as imagined. This was her adapting to the local customs after many exchanges with Lu Juanmu in the past years. Lu Juanmu replied respectfully, "Master, including you, there are 6 people in total." "Only 6 people? Too few." Qi Qingmo murmured, and continued to ask, "Didn't the remaining person come?" Lu Juanmu replied, "No, the remaining person has just joined Tianren Pavilion for a few days and has not fully integrated into it, so I didn't bring her." Qi Qingmo nodded and didn't ask any more questions. Just said to the 4 people, "I believe you should have mastered the early stage of the body refining of the blood quenching technique very well. Now, I will teach you the method of opening your mind." After saying that, she raised her slender jade hand, and under the confused eyes of the 4 people, she flicked her fingers at the eyebrows of the 4 people and shot a beam of light into them. The moment the light shot into the eyebrows, Lin Zichen clearly felt that something suddenly inserted in, and kept twitching back and forth at the position of the eyebrows, which made people very uncomfortable. Fortunately, this discomfort did not last too long. With an inexplicable shaking of the brain, everything soon became dull. Instead, a strange memory appeared in the depths of the mind. Lin Zichen concentrated his mind and read this strange memory. It was indeed as Qi Qingmo said, it was the method of opening the orifices in the second part of the blood quenching technique. After reading for a while, Lin Zichen found that the method of opening the orifices given by Qi Qingmo was similar to the method of opening the orifices that Shen Qinghan had randomly studied. Shen Qinghan's method of opening the orifices was 9 shallow and 1 deep. 9 light mental shocks. 1 extremely strong blood shock. The shock was to the orifice located near the heart. There were 3 methods of opening the orifices that Qi Qingmo had just given, corresponding to the heart orifice, brain orifice, and body shell. The way to open the heart orifice: condense the blood into a needle shape, and use 10 times as a cycle, and shock the orifice from light to heavy. How to open the brain orifice: condensing the spirit into a needle shape, with 3 times as a cycle, and impacting the orifice from light to heavy. How to open the body orifice: condensing the blood and spirit into needles respectively, with 4 times as a cycle. The first 2 times are a light and heavy blood impact, and the last 2 times are a light and heavy spiritual impact. To put it bluntly, the method of opening the orifice is actually a question of impact rhythm. You will learn it at a glance, without any difficulty. If you insist on saying that it is difficult, there is only a cultivation threshold. You must be a pure-blooded human to practice. Moreover, the physical talent of this pure-blooded human must be strong enough, otherwise even the blood and spirit cannot be condensed into a needle shape, let alone opening the orifice. Let alone opening the orifice, it may be difficult even in the early stage of body refining. And now the 5 people in the Pure Human Research Institute, no matter which one, have extremely strong physical talents, far stronger than ordinary people. Lu Juanmu was born in a martial arts family. Song Yuan was the 2nd place in the Kyoto College entrance examination. Ma Ziwei was the 4th in the Kyoto College entrance examination. Needless to say, Lin Zichen's physical talent is the best in the world. And Shen Qinghan, although his physical strength is not too outstanding, has a special physique, and is naturally easier to control blood and qi than others. In addition, his mental strength is also high, which is just suitable for practicing blood quenching. As compensation for the blood and qi just now, this twin light and dark fruit belongs to you. After eating it, it will greatly improve your blood and spirit. Qi Qingmo conjured a black and white fruit from his sleeve out of thin air, and his figure flashed in front of Lin Zichen, handed the fruit over and said. Lin Zichen was shocked. He didn't realize how Qi Qingmo flashed over just now. Not a single trace of it can be seen. I don't know if Qi Qingmo flashed too fast, and he couldn't catch it with his current strength of naked eyes. Or Qi King Mo was not just a flash of imagination at all, but a direct spatial transmission. Take it. Seeing that Lin Zichen was inexplicably stunned and made no move to take the fruit, Qi King Mo couldn't help but urge him. Lin Zichen came to his senses after hearing this, quickly reached out to take the fruit and said, "Thank you, Pavilion Master. No need to thank me, this is compensation for you, not a reward." After saying that, Qi King Mo flashed again and instantly returned to the ancient bronze coffin. This time, Lin Zichen still failed to catch the traces of the master of Tianren Pavilion. Qi King Mo reached out and touched the ancient bronze coffin. The next second, the ancient bronze coffin disappeared on the spot, leaving only a clean square ground without a trace of dust. "I still have something to deal with, so I'll leave first. I'll come find you later." After saying this, Qi King Mo flashed in front of several people and disappeared without a trace in an instant. "Where are people?" The four of them were stunned, not understanding how Qi King Mo disappeared out of thin air. Lin Zichen reacted quickly and immediately released his mental power, covering an area within a kilometer radius within his range of perception. Then, he carefully searched for Qi King Mo's figure. After searching for nearly 10 seconds, even the place nearly 100 meters deep underground was not found, but Qi King Mo could not be seen. This person completely disappeared, as if he had never existed. "Dean, do you know what level of power the Pavilion Master is? I think she is ridiculously strong." Song Yuan looked at Lu Juanmu and asked. Lu Juanmu shook his head, "Your question is a bit confusing for me. I don't know the specific biological level of the Pavilion Master." After speaking, he added, "Based on the strength that the Pavilion Master has just shown, I guess it is not impossible that she is at least an epic level powerhouse, or a legendary level powerhouse." Legendary powerhouse. Song Yuan felt it was impossible and said, "This is on the same level as the state leader, it's too exaggerated." Lu Juanmu disagreed, "Is this an exaggeration? I even think the Pavilion Master is an omnipotent mythical powerhouse." Song Yuan was speechless. "Dean, the more you talk, the more outrageous you are. You are purely valuing the past over the present." Lu Juanmu stroked his beard and said, "It's not that I favor the past over the present, but the entire history of mankind has favored the past over the present. Looking at the records in the ruins, in that long time ago, the proportion of humans among the immortal gods was the highest, and the strongest immortal gods were also humans. The dragons, phoenixes, kunpeng, etc. are all captive mounts raised by human beings and gods." Having said this, Lu Juanmu looked at the big-breasted and brainless Song Yuan and asked, "So, do you still think this is an insult to the old man that I am favoring the past over the present?" Song Yuan did not answer and fell into deep thought. Lin Zichen also fell into deep thought. After listening to Lu Juanmu's words, he couldn't help but think about what kind of era Qi King Mo was active in. Are there really immortals everywhere? Is it the kind of fairy god in fairy tales who can hold the sun and moon in his hands and pick the stars? If such an era really existed, where have all the powerful gods gone now? Are they all like Qi King Mo, sealing themselves away and surviving? Then the question comes, why does such a powerful immortal god still seal himself and survive? What happened in the middle? Lin Zichen's thoughts became more and more divergent, his thoughts became more and more fantasy, and he had already accepted that the immortals and gods recorded in the ruins were real high-level creatures. P.S. Set the bowls, please recommend monthly tickets. End of chapter. Chapter 216 Luokyungshu is by Xuet. The divine plant cult strikes again. In an undiscovered ancient ruins. Qi King Mo looked at the empty surroundings, his slender eyebrows slightly wrinkled. The ruins where she is located were the treasure house of Tianren Pavilion. It is a secret room that stores evolutionary resources. But now, it is completely empty, with no resources left. Some are just a hint of decay from years of disrepair. She knew that it was probably the disciples of Tianren Pavilion who took advantage of her to seal herself and divided up all the resources in the treasure house and confiscated them. This is inevitable human nature. It's predictable. It seems that until we find a way out, we will have to rely on blood transfusions from that junior to survive. Qi King Mo murmured. After saying that, she then laughed at herself, it's too depressing. The spiritual energy of heaven and earth in this world has been depleted too seriously, resulting in a lack of evolutionary resources. In a short period of time, it was difficult for her to find enough resources to maintain basic survival. Before finding a way out, she could only rely on Lin Zichen's blood transfusions to survive. Moreover, frequent blood transfusions are required. Her physical body was too strong, and the power of qi and blood from a high-level pure-blood human could only sustain her body's activities for a very short period of time. This is on the premise of not taking action casually. If you encounter an enemy and have to attack with all your strength, you will probably fall into a deep sleep due to excessive consumption just halfway through the move. The restrictions are huge. In the dormitory, Lin Zichen sat on the sofa and carefully observed the twin light and dark fruit in his hands. As big as dragon fruit. The peel is black and white like a zebra. Smells a bit fragrant. If you touch it with your hands, you will feel two completely opposite sensations, cold and hot. If you touch the black peel, you will feel the slightest bit of coldness. If you touch the white peel, you will feel a slight burning sensation. The world of ice and fire is a very magical feeling. Feel the pulp inside again. You can clearly feel that there is an extremely rich vitality inside. This vitality is beating around restlessly under the peel, and it feels like it's about to burst out at any moment. Took some time to observe. Soon, Lin Zichen got up from the sofa. He walked slowly to the kitchen. Wash the twin fruits of light and darkness on your hands. Then cut it in half and share it with Shen King Han. Before giving it to Shen King Han, Lin Zichen took a look at the pulp of the twin light and dark fruit. Also in black and white. The texture is exactly the same as on the peel. It can only be said that the name twin light and dark fruit is indeed correct. Returned to the living room. Lin Zichen walked up to Shen King Han, handed her half of the twin light and dark fruit in his hand and said, "Here, I'll give you this half." Shen King Han shook his head, "I don't want it, you can eat it." "Why not? This is the compensation you got for consuming a lot of energy and blood. You should finish it by yourself. Look at what you said. The relationship between the two of us is like this. What's yours is mine, and what's mine is yours. It's somewhat inappropriate for you to act so open-minded. Relationships are relationships, but this twin fruit of light and darkness is a resource that you paid a price for. I can't let half of it go to waste without paying anything." Shen King Han said seriously. She was not reserved, but she really thought so in her heart. Just because she is Lin Zichen's fiancée, she cannot take away half of his resources as a matter of course. A little bit is fine. But splitting half of it when we meet is really a bit too much. It is not an exaggeration to say that it was a direct cut to the aorta. Don't think so much, just eat it if I give it to you. If you feel really sorry, you can compensate me from other places in the future." Lin Zichen said as he stuffed half of the twin light and dark fruit into Shen King Han's hand. Shen King Han looked at the twin light and darkness fruit in his hand, pursed his lips, and said to Lin Zichen, "You have given me so many things. I feel like I will never be able to pay them back in my lifetime. We are childhood sweethearts who grew up together. We are a quasi-couple living under the same roof. We are not partners in a business partnership. There is no need to make such a clear distinction." Lin Zichen put his arms around her waist and said in a gentle voice. Listening to these intimate words, Shen King Han felt sweet in her heart, nodded and said, "Well, it's not that clear." When she said this, she was thinking in her heart that she must serve Lin Zichen well in the future, serve her like a personal maid, and never say no to Lin Zichen. Lin Zichen didn't have as many ideas as she did. Seeing that she finally understood that there was no need to distinguish between them so clearly, she stopped saying anything more. He then picked up the twin light and dark fruit in his hand and put it into his mouth with some anticipation. "Take one bite. The black and white pulp immediately bursts with extreme sweetness in your mouth. A large amount of cold and hot juice hits back and forth on the taste buds. Brings an unprecedented taste. Explodingly delicious. And the moment the pulp is swallowed into the stomach, the energy and blood in the body immediately surged like a stormy sea, and the intensity continued to soar. At the same time, the sea of consciousness in the brain is rapidly expanding, causing a somewhat comfortable swelling feeling. It was like Shen King Han putting her soft little hands on her head and stroking her gently. So comfortable. Lin Zichen enjoyed this inexplicable pleasure. Immediately, he finished all the twin light and dark fruits in his hands in a few mouthfuls. Even the core was swallowed. Seeing this, Shen King Han also began to eat the half of the twin light and dark fruit in her hand in small bites. When she tasted the first bite, she suddenly opened her eyes, her pretty face full of surprise. Sour and sweet. Full of juice. One bite, ice and fire. This is too delicious. Then she ate it in big mouthfuls, not like a lady as usual. When she finished eating all the twin light and dark fruits, she suddenly trembled slightly. Then, a familiar feeling of wetness and heat instantly surged out from under her skirt. She peed. Under the strong stimulation of the twin light and dark fruit, she was born with a sensitive body, and her valve opened uncontrollably, soaking her skirt and sofa. "Ah, it's all wet." Shen King Han looked at her wet lower body, her pretty face full of distress. Since the fusion of the blue jellyfish King Jean, except for the almost negative distance intimacy with Lin Zichen, she has never peed once. Suddenly she urinated, which really caught her off guard. After a moment of reaction, she immediately took out a tissue to wipe the urine on the sofa and the floor. Seeing this, Lin Zichen said, "Let me do it, you can go change your skirt." "Then thank you." Shen King Han turned and walked towards the bathroom. However, just as she turned around, Lin Zichen grabbed her hand and said, "Take off your skirt, I'll use the skirt to wipe it, it's more convenient to wipe it this way." "Oh." Shen King Han responded, took off her skirt in a few seconds, and threw it on the floor casually. Then she walked quickly towards the bathroom with a pair of slender white legs. Lin Zichen picked up the skirt on the floor, wiped the urine on the sofa a few times, and then took the skirt to the washing machine and threw it away. The little dirty girl has a special physique, and the liquid she discharges is colorless and odorless, and it can even be said to have a faint fragrance. It's almost enough to clean it up casually. No need to deal with it specially. Go back to the living room and sit down. Lin Zichen calmed down and began to feel the strength of his blood and spirit. Just after eating the twin light and dark fruit, the blood in his body was surging. The size of his sea of consciousness was rapidly expanding. With such a big movement in his body, the blood and spirit strength must have increased a lot. Let's see how much it has increased. Fuck. Suddenly, Lin Zichen exclaimed. This was the first time he shouted fuck in his 19 years of being a human. At this time, he was shocked. Because he was shocked to find that his blood and spirit strength were both as high as the 5th level. He just ate a fruit. The biological level actually evolved directly from the 4th level to the 5th level. It's unbelievable. Before he could recover from the shock, Shen Qinghan's exclamation came from the bathroom. Oh my god! Lin Zichen, my blood and spirit strength have soared to the advanced 3rd level. Check it out to see if it's my illusion. Accompanied by this burst of unbelievable shouts, Shen Qinghan didn't even wrap herself in a bath towel, and ran over naked. Soared to the advanced 3rd level? Listening to Shen Qinghan's shout, Lin Zichen opened his eyes a little, thinking that he had heard it wrong. After a moment of reaction, he quickly thought and used danger sense to check Shen Qinghan's biological information. It would have been better if he hadn't looked at it, but he was shocked when he saw it. It's really the advanced 3rd level. The biological level of the little dirty girl has soared directly from the advanced 1st level to the advanced 3rd level. Evolved 2 levels in a row. Lin Zichen, please help me check if I have really evolved to the advanced 3rd level. Shen Qinghan ran to Lin Zichen and stopped, asking impatiently. Lin Zichen calmed down and said, it is advanced 3rd level. It is advanced 3rd level. Shen Qinghan jumped up excitedly and clapped her hands excitedly. When she landed, her curvy body trembled. She was grinning from ear to ear. Lin Zichen, how many levels have you evolved? Shen Qinghan put away the smile on her pretty face and asked curiously. She knew very well that the reason why she could evolve 2 levels in a row was probably because she had just eaten half of the twin light and dark fruit. And Lin Zichen, who also ate half of the twin light and dark fruit, must have evolved in biological level. Lin Zichen raised his hand towards the bathroom, sucked the towel in the air, and gently wrapped it around Shen Qinghan, saying calmly. It's worse than you, only evolved 1 level. Ah? How could this be? Shen Qinghan was a little stunned and felt unbelievable. In her heart, Lin Zichen's evolutionary talent was far better than hers. Both of them ate half of the twin light and dark fruit, and Lin Zichen's evolutionary benefits must be more than hers. However, this time, she evolved 2 levels, while Lin Zichen only evolved 1 level. This is very unreasonable. But soon, she figured out the reason. If nothing unexpected happens, it must be that the resources required to evolve from advanced level 4 to advanced level 5 are greater than the resources required to evolve from advanced level 1 to advanced level 3. Thinking of this, she comforted her. Lin Zichen, I know why you only evolved 1 level. This is because the difficulty of evolving from advanced level 4 to advanced level 5 is much greater than the difficulty of evolving from advanced level 1 to advanced level 3. It's not that you are worse than me. After hearing what Shen Qinghan said, Lin Zichen felt strange. I have been strong since childhood, but one day I will be comforted by the cowardly Shen Qinghan. This was truly unexpected. Thinking about it, Lin Zichen reached out and pinched Shen Qinghan's pink and moist lips, and joked with a smile, just verbal comfort is not enough, you have to get some actual comfort. Seeing that Lin Zichen was still thinking about laughing and joking, Shen Qinghan knew that he had overthought just now. This childhood sweetheart of mine didn't feel uncomfortable at all just now. However, the comfort that should be given must still be given. This is the thought. Shen Qinghan asked Lin Zichen to sit down on the sofa behind him, lifted the slightly damp hair from his forehead behind his ears, and said softly. Okay, then let me give you some practical verbal comfort, soothe your heart that has been hurt by a small setback and let you relax. Seeing such a sensible Shen Qinghan, Lin Zichen felt very happy. The little filthy girl is really getting better and better at it. I'm afraid I saved the galaxy in my previous life so that I could have such a childhood sweetheart in this life. What a blessing! I thought about this for a while. While enjoying Shen Qinghan's gentle caress, Lin Zichen turned his thoughts to the twin fruit of light and darkness that he and Shen Qinghan had just eaten. Before today, it was really hard for him to imagine that there could be such a fruit in this world that could make advanced creatures evolve by just eating half of it. This is probably much more advanced than Yu-Gi-Oh! It has to be described as a fairy fruit. It can be seen from this that the master of Tianren Pavilion who can possess this kind of fairy fruit and can give it away to others is really a powerful being. Is it legendary? Or mythical level? Or is it some unknown level? By the way, why does such a powerful being need to suck my blood to revive? There are too many doubts in this. If you have the opportunity, you must ask the pavilion master. Lin Zichen thought to himself. The night gradually deepened. Lin Zichen and Shen Qinghan pounded their acupoints with high intensity for several hours in the room. Wait until your body is exhausted. They just left the room together. Went to the bathroom and took a comfortable bath. Then go back to your room and go to bed. Lindsay, it feels so unreal. I have evolved into an advanced creature before my freshman year is over. Really? After the biological level evolves to a high level, it meets the criteria for entering the origin. I don't know if the origin is a bizarre world like what was popularized in the military special training. Shen Qinghan leaned against Lin Zichen's chest, huddled in his arms, and said in a curious voice. Lin Zichen massaged her body skillfully and said. When sophomore year comes in a few months, the school will open enrollment for the new year. After Tianren Pavilion recruits 100 new members, we will probably have to enter the source. We will know when we see it in person. My cheap senior sister is also on the list of alien-level geniuses. I always thought she was Bai Shuet, who we had been with for a while in elementary school. We can confirm it after we enter the source. Shen Qinghan said with some expectation. She had always cared about this matter and wanted to meet the cheap senior sister named Luo Qingxiu to see if she was the white-haired girl transfer student she had happily spent time with when she was in the second grade of elementary school. She didn't believe that there could be such a coincidence in the world. They obviously look very similar, and the timing is right, and then they say they are two people. She always felt that the white-haired cheap senior sister in the origin was the same Bai Shui back then. What is the specific place of origin you just mentioned? Suddenly, a female voice sounded faintly from the other side of the window. Shen Qinghan was startled by the sudden sound, and shrank into the bed with an ah sound. Adrenaline surged, and her little heart was pounding. Lin Zichen was also frightened. But he quickly calmed down, stood up, and turned on the light in the room. He looked at Qi Qingmo who was sitting on the window edge blowing the air, and said doubtfully. Pavilion Master, why do you suddenly appear here this late at night? He looked confused on the surface, but actually he was cursing in his heart. Is the Master of Tianren Pavilion sick today? In the dead of night, I sat on the window edge of someone else's room like a ghost and eavesdropped. Is this something that a good person with the title of Great Love Immortal can do? Are you sure you're not a pervert? Lin Zichen seriously doubted Qi Qingmo's character. At this time, Shen Qinghan, who knew that the visitor was the master of the Tianren Pavilion, weakly poked his head out of the bed and looked at Qi Qingmo sitting on the window edge with confusion in his eyes. She really couldn't understand why Qi Qingmo, a big man with unfathomable strength, would do such an inexplicable behavior of breaking into the junior's room at night. Incomprehensible. Qi Qingmo knew in his heart that the two of them would be confused by her sudden late-night visit. However, she didn't pay attention to this detail. Instead, he asked again, can you briefly introduce the place of origin to me? Lin Zichen felt somewhat unhappy when she didn't answer why she appeared here. But because of the other party's strong strength, he didn't show it. He quickly gave the other party a brief introduction to the origin. He said that it was an enhanced version of the Earth. It was rich in evolutionary resources. There were various higher-level creatures living there. Then he talked about the current relationship between the Earth and the origin, indicating that the current situation of human beings is very passive, and they have been suppressed by the creatures on the other side of the origin, and the situation is not optimistic. After listening to Lin Zichen's introduction to the origin, Qi Qingmo's expression moved slightly, and she felt very surprised and pleasantly surprised. The surprise was that she had lived for so many years and had never heard of the existence of a place like the origin. The surprise was that the origin was rich in evolutionary resources, and she might find a way to return to the peak if she went there. He calmed down a little. Qi Qingmo opened her red lips and asked, what should I do to enter the source? Lin Zichen answered truthfully, all military headquarters above the provincial level in Zhuzhou have suppressed a biological channel leading to the source. You can reach the source through these biological channels. At the same time, in a luxurious villa in Shanghai City, a group of masked people gathered together and secretly discussed the attack on Lin Zichen. Eighth Elder, didn't the Great Elder say that we should wait for him to launch a general attack on the ground before we attack Lin Zichen? A woman wearing a two-leaf clover mask hesitated and said with concern. Opposite her, a man wearing a clover mask, the Eighth Elder of the Divine Planting Sect, said calmly, it will be too late when the Great Elder takes action. Now the strong men in Nanjiang province have basically entered the source to help resist the beasts. We must take advantage of the most empty time inside Shanghai University to attack Lin Zichen and take him away. If we wait for the Great Elder to launch an attack, there will definitely be a large number of mechanical transformation strong men coming to support Shanghai City soon. By then, there will be no such good opportunity to attack Lin Zichen as now. So, I decided to attack Lin Zichen tomorrow night. Do you support or oppose? When saying this last sentence, the 8th elder stood up from his seat, looked around condescendingly, and was extremely domineering. All the masked people present did not dare to raise any objections, and could only speak out to express their support. P.S. Put the bowl, ask for monthly votes and recommendation votes. End of this chapter. Chapter 217 The Mysterious Runes Around Shen King Han. Biological Channel. After listening to Lin Zichen's introduction to the source, Qi Qingmo couldn't help but fall into deep thought. She tried to search for any information related to the source from her memory. But nothing was found. It seems that this so-called source is indeed an unknown place that I have never set foot in. I have to find an opportunity to enter and find out. Qi Qingmo thought silently in her heart. The other side of the bed. Seeing that Qi Qingmo remained silent for a long time, Lin Zichen hesitated for a while and asked the previous question again. Master, you came to us so late, is there something important? No, I just want to suck your blood. Qi Qingmo said honestly without any scruples. When Lin Zichen heard this, his face changed slightly and he felt a little bad. He just sucked it during the day, and now he wants to suck it again? This Tianren Pavilion master is really a good person? Are you sure he is not a bad person? Thinking so in his heart, Lin Zichen couldn't help but panic a little. He was worried that Qi Qingmo would get addicted and suck him dry like an uncontrollable drug addict. Suck him to death on the bed. Shen King Han, who was standing by, had the same concern in his heart. He held Lin Zichen's hand tightly. His heart was pounding. He was very nervous. Seeing the strange look on their faces, Qi Qingmo guessed that they must have misunderstood something. So he explained, I came to visit you tonight because I traveled a long distance during the day and my blood and qi were almost exhausted. I need you to transport blood and qi to maintain basic vitality, so I came to find you. I wanted to knock on the window, but when I heard you talking about the place of origin, I sat down and listened for a while. I'm sorry if I scared you too just now. Subscribe to Chinese Novel Audio Wave. Well, it's quite polite. But not much. If you are really polite, you won't break into other people's rooms at night. Lin Zichen complained in his heart and asked, Master, can't you make your own blood? He couldn't understand why Qi Qingmo, such a powerful being with unfathomable strength, had to rely on sucking other people's blood to maintain basic survival. Is there something wrong with her body? Or is she unable to adapt to the living environment of this era and was eliminated by this era? Just like the extinction of dinosaurs in the past. No. Qi Qingmo said calmly, my evolutionary path is to refine the spiritual energy of heaven and earth, and the spiritual energy of heaven and earth in this world is almost exhausted. Without the spiritual energy of heaven and earth, most of my body functions have stopped working. Cannot generate blood. Cannot generate spiritual consciousness. Use a little less, until the vitality in the body is exhausted, and the body dies. Spiritual energy of heaven and earth. Lin Zichen raised his eyebrows slightly. This is the second special energy body he has heard of. The first is source power. It is the source power in the bodies of aliens and beasts. Qi Qingmo continued, before my body can generate blood and qi on its own, I need you to give me a blood transfusion. Of course, I won't let you transfuse blood for nothing. I will give you corresponding compensation afterwards. Compensation afterwards? Lin Zichen felt like a gigolo, being prostituted by Qi Qingmo every day. And the so-called compensation is the money for prostitution. Aside, Shen King Han hesitated for a moment, then said weakly, Master, I am also a high-level pure-blooded human, why don't you suck mine? Lin Zichen had just been sucked by Qi Qingmo for nearly half an hour during the day. She was worried that Lin Zichen would be sucked hard by Qi Qingmo again, and his body would not be able to bear it. So she mustered up the courage to volunteer to be sucked for Lin Zichen. However, in the face of her volunteering, Qi Qingmo didn't even look at her, but just said lightly, your blood quality is too low, it can't be sucked. Shen King Han was silent, lowered her head and pursed her lips, feeling very uncomfortable. Being despised again. Obviously, the biological level has evolved to the advanced third level, but the pavilion master still despises it as trash. It's really uncomfortable. Qi Qingmo didn't care whether she was uncomfortable or not, and said to Lin Zichen, open your mouth. Open your mouth? Lin Zichen was confused. But he didn't think too much, and soon did what Qi Qingmo said, and opened his mouth honestly. Seeing that Lin Zichen had opened his mouth, Qi Qingmo raised his white jade hand and flicked his fingers, accurately shooting a red pill into his mouth. This red pill melted in his mouth, and instantly turned into strands of warm currents, quickly flowing to every muscle, bone, blood, and flesh in Lin Zichen's body, speeding up the speed of his body's production of qi and blood. The effect of the red pill is the same as that of the blood recovery pill, both of which are used to promote the production of qi and blood in the human body. The only difference is that its efficacy is hundreds or thousands of times that of the advanced blood recovery pill. Come and deliver blood to me, or you will soon be burst by the endless blood. Qi Qingmo teleported to the bed and lay flat on her back, with her hands folded on her belly, and closed her beautiful eyes that seemed to be surrounded by stars. Lin Zichen calmed down and asked, how to deliver it specifically. Before in the basement, he put his hands on the bronze coffin to deliver it. Now there is no bronze coffin, only Qi Qingmo lying quietly beside him, he doesn't know how to operate. Qi Qingmo said lightly, put your palm on the position of my heart, and then release the blood. The position of the heart. Isn't that the position of the chest? Lin Zichen looked at Qi Qingmo's round and full breasts, and for a moment he didn't know whether he should put his hand on them to release the blood and qi. But after hesitating for a moment, he quickly put his hand on them, and started to release the blood and qi. The blood and qi in his body were getting more and more full, and if he didn't release the blood and qi quickly, he was worried that his body would burst. When delivering blood and qi, because his hand was always on Qi Qingmo's chest, he could clearly feel the softness coming from there, and his heart couldn't help but be a little confused. In order to prevent himself from being confused and having physiological reactions that shouldn't have occurred, he had to speak to divert his attention and asked Qi Qingmo who was lying beside him. Master, you just said that your evolutionary path is to refine the spiritual energy of heaven and earth, but you also created the blood-quenching technique. Does this mean that you are practicing two evolutionary paths? Yes, immortal and martial arts dual cultivation. Qi Qingmo said calmly. Unlike Lin Zichen, she didn't feel uncomfortable because her chest was touched by a man's hand. Having lived for countless years, she has long seen through the world and will not be bound by the 7 emotions and 6 desires of the world. She is just a skin, even if she is naked and seen by others, she will not be moved at all. The only thing that can make her emotional now is that she has made a further step in her evolution. Dual cultivation of immortal and martial arts. It was the first time that Lin Zichen heard these 4 words in reality. He had only seen them in novels before. Qi Qingmo explained simply, well, dual cultivation of immortal and martial arts. Immortal refers to the way of refining the spiritual energy of heaven and earth. Martial arts refers to the way of refining the body. The blood-quenching technique I created is a method of refining the body. After listening to Qi Qingmo's explanation, Lin Zichen couldn't help but frown slightly, and suddenly felt a little uncomfortable. Immortal martial arts, immortal martial arts, immortal first, martial arts second. You can tell from one look that immortal /U003E martial arts. When Lin Zichen thought about the blood-quenching technique he had worked so hard to practice, which was a martial art lower than immortal, he suddenly didn't want to follow the path of pure-blooded humans, and he lost all motivation. Qi Qingmo saw him frowning, guessed what he was thinking, and said in a calm voice, there is no difference between the 2 evolutionary paths of immortal and martial arts, only the direction. Immortal focuses on the law. Martial arts focuses on the body. Although the directions are different, the final evolutionary end of these 2 evolutionary paths is the same. The only difference is that each has its own strengths and weaknesses in the process of evolution. Which evolutionary path to take depends on which one is suitable for you. But for most creatures, it is much easier to take the evolutionary path of refining spiritual energy than the evolutionary path of refining the body. Therefore, in my era, most of the strong people took the evolutionary path of refining spiritual energy. After hearing what Qi Qingmo said, Lin Zichen couldn't help but feel a question, Master, since the final evolutionary end is the same, shouldn't we focus on one of the evolutionary paths? Why do we need to practice dual cultivation to disperse our energy? Qi Qingmo, you are right. Dual cultivation will indeed disperse our energy, which is not worth the loss. Lin Zichen, why then? Qi Qingmo, because the spiritual energy of heaven and earth was becoming increasingly thinner at that time. The evolvers who took the evolutionary path of refining the spiritual energy of heaven and earth had to change to the evolutionary path of cultivating the body and were forced to practice both immortality and martial arts. Otherwise, they would die in the coming Dharma ending age. After saying that, Qi Qingmo sighed, and I am one of the evolvers who was forced to practice both immortality and martial arts. There is actually the secret. Lin Zichen felt that he had heard an incredible secret. At the same time, he also wanted to understand many questions in his heart. First, Qi Qingmo created the blood-quenching technique, probably not to care about the mortals oppressed by the strong, but to find a way out for himself. The records in the ruins are wrong. Second, the era of gods mentioned by Lu Juanmu before was probably real. This era of gods should refer to the era in which Qi Qingmo lived. The reason why the immortals and gods of that era have disappeared and drowned in the long river of time is probably because the earth has entered the Dharma ending age, the spiritual energy is exhausted, and they can't survive. Then they either seal themselves up and survive like Qi Qingmo, or die directly. No. The exhaustion of spiritual energy affects the strong who take the evolutionary path of refining spiritual energy. Where did the strong who take the evolutionary path of refining the body go? Why did the earth be attacked so many times by the creatures on the source side, but these strong body-refining warriors didn't come out to resist? Lin Zichen was puzzled and could only ask Qi Qingmo, Master, if it is true as you said, there should be many body refining masters on Earth, but in reality there is none. What's going on? Qi King Mo explained, because the spiritual energy is exhausted, it affects not only the creatures who take the path of refining spiritual energy, but all the creatures living in the spiritual energy era. That's why, after I revived from the bronze coffin, I still had to rely on you to transport blood and qi to survive. Creatures living in the spiritual energy era, even if they take the evolutionary path of body refining, cannot survive in the end of the law era without spiritual energy. After listening, Lin Zichen pondered for a moment and finally came to this conclusion, in other words, when the end of the law era comes, all the creatures in your era will die. Qi King Mo, if you can't survive by sealing yourself like me, you will definitely die. Lin Zichen, in other words, there may be many powerful people from the spiritual age who are self-sealed in the ruins of the earth now. Qi King Mo denied, no, there are still very few strong people like me who can seal themselves for many years without decay. After saying that, she continued, what I said is not to boast. Even in that spiritual energy era where immortals and gods were everywhere, I was one of the top strong ones. There are probably less than 24 powerful people in the spiritual energy age who can seal themselves and survive until new life appears on earth like me. Lin Zichen believed what Qi King Mo said. If there were many powerful people like Qi King Mo in the Reiki era, then there would not be only one Qi King Mo resurrected now. In the coming time, while Lin Zichen was giving Qi King Mo a blood transfusion, he asked her some questions about the Reiki era. No matter what questions he asked, Qi King Mo patiently answered Lin Zichen's questions one by one. After all, he was sucking Lin Zichen's blood right now. He was soft-spoken and short-handed, so he definitely couldn't show his impatience. While the two of them were asking and answering questions, Shen Qinghan, who was sitting on the bed, said nothing the whole time and just listened, looking particularly well-behaved. Unknowingly, 6 hours have passed. The sky outside the window gradually changed from pitch black to a bit hazy and bright. And none of the three people in the room was asleep. What it was like 6 hours ago is what it is now. Lin Zichen was still giving Qi King Mo blood transfusion and kept asking her questions. Qi King Mo was still sucking blood while patiently answering Lin Zichen's questions. Only Shen Qinghan, who was sitting aside, became less restrained and lay lazily on the bed. Okay, stop. The energy and blood in your body has been almost exhausted. Stop and rest for the day, and then continue at night. Qi King Mo took Lin Zichen's hand away, sat up from the bed and said. She made an agreement with Lin Zichen that she would stay here temporarily in the next few days. During this period, blood was sucked twice a day for 6 hours each time. It is necessary to accumulate qi and blood in the body as much as possible to prepare for the next entry into the source. This is compensation for the blood transfusions you will give me every day for the next few days. Take it. Qi King Mo conjured up a glass bottle containing more than a dozen pills out of thin air, and threw it to Lin Zichen. Lin Zichen caught the thrown glass bottle, took a look at the pills inside, and found that they were the same red pills he had taken last night. Qi King Mo, this is a blood-bathing pill. After eating it, it can quickly restore qi and blood. It is useful when attacking the heart or body, or fighting to the death with the enemy. Thank you, Pavilion Master, for the reward. You're welcome. This is not a gift. This is compensation for the blood transfusion you gave me. After saying that, Qi King Mo conjured up the ancient bronze coffin out of thin air and placed it beside the bed, intending to lie down in it to sleep. In the next few days, except for the 2 periods of time in the morning and evening when she had to suck Lin Zichen's blood, the rest of the time she would lie dormant in an ancient bronze coffin to minimize the loss of qi and blood in her body and prepare fully for entering the source. By the way, Pavilion Master, I have another question I want to ask you. When Qi King Mo removed the coffin cover, Lin Zichen suddenly remembered that he still had a very important question that he had not asked, and immediately spoke out. Qi King Mo stopped, looked back at Lin Zichen on the bed, and said calmly, "What's the problem?" Lin Zichen took out the mysterious runes that he had recorded before, those water drop runes that lingered around Shen Qinghan in the coastal forest, and showed them to Qi King Mo, and asked, "Pavilion Master, do you recognize them?" "These runes?" Qi King Mo took a look, shook his head and said, "I don't know him." Do not know?" Lin Zichen was a little surprised. He originally thought that Qi King Mo must have experienced a lot and knew these runes since he had lived for so long. As a result, I didn't recognize him. What is the origin of those mysterious water drop runes that lingered around Shen Qinghan that day? Qi King Mo asked, "Where did you see these runes?" "I saw it in a ruin somewhere." Lin Zichen casually made up a reason. Qi King Mo fell into deep thought after hearing this. After a moment, she said, "I really don't recognize these runes, but I have seen words somewhat similar to these runes in some ancient ruins from the spiritual age where I lived." Ancient relics from the Reiki era? Lin Zichen was very surprised when he heard these words. The spiritual energy era that Qi King Mo lived in was long enough ago. How old is this ancient relic from the spiritual age? This is a nesting doll. Thinking about it, Lin Zichen asked, Pavilion Master, what is the specific situation of the words in the ancient ruins you mentioned? Qi Qingmo thought about it and said, I don't know exactly what happened. I saw those words on a mural in an undersea ruins. I can't understand the meaning of those words. Undersea ruins? Mural? I heard these two information points in Qi Qingmo's words. Lin Zichen couldn't help but think of the underwater ruins video that Lu Juanmu had shown him before, and the pearl shell bracelet that he had taken back from the underwater ruins. Pavilion Master, don't sleep yet. I'll go to the research institute to get something to show you. It's a video about the underwater ruins. After saying this, Lin Zichen immediately got out of bed, put on his shoes, walked to the window, and jumped out of the window directly in the direction of the research institute. Seeing this, Shen Qinghan hurriedly got out of bed, put on his shoes, and jumped out of the window and chased after him, shouting, Lin Ziai, wait a minute, wait for me, I'll go with you. Qi Qingmo teleported to the window and stopped, watching the two people's backs gradually moving away, and he was also curious. Underwater ruins video? Is it a ruin similar to the one we entered at the beginning? P.S. Putting bowls, asking for monthly tickets and recommendation tickets. End of this chapter. Chapter 218 Mysterious Undersea Ruins. Lin Ziai, wait for me. Shen Qinghan shouted to Lin Zichen in front of him as soon as he landed. When Lin Zichen heard the shouting, he immediately turned around and ran back, picked up Shen Qinghan and rushed towards the research institute. Because the speed was too fast, there was a rush of air wherever it passed. The wind blew passers-by's skirts flying and their hair swaying around their faces. Just over 10 seconds. Lin Zichen hugged Shen Qinghan and rushed to the door of the research institute. After putting Shen Qinghan down, he conjured a card out of thin air and opened the door of the research institute with a beep. At this time, the sky was not completely bright yet. This point, Lu Juanmu was usually still at home but did not come. Song Yuan usually still sleeps in her exclusive room in the research institute. Therefore, the research institute was very grey and dark at this time. Lin Zichen didn't even turn on the lights when he came in, and took Shen Qinghan straight to Lu Juanmu's office. Just halfway there, in the dim bathroom in front, a naked Song Yuan suddenly walked out. She was naked, wearing nothing but a pair of white cotton slippers on her feet. Lin Zichen was stunned. Shen Qinghan was also stunned. Song Yuan was stunned. She slept naked last night and had just woken up from peeing. Thinking that she was the only one in the research institute, she simply went naked to drain the water. But never in my dreams did I expect that I would meet Lin Zichen and Shen Qinghan when I came out of the bathroom after draining the water. After a moment of reaction, Song Yuan immediately covered her lower body with one hand and her upper body with the other, stepped back into the bathroom, and then closed the door with a bang. It's still dark this morning, what are these two people doing here at the institute? I have never held a man's hand even once in my life, and now my whole body is exposed. The chastity I have cherished for almost 30 years is gone. How should I face those two people in the future? Song Yuan was in a state of panic. She tightly covered her pretty face, which was so red that it was dripping with water. She felt embarrassed and uncomfortable in her heart, and wanted to live on another planet. Outside the door, Lin Zichen and Shen Qinghan both felt embarrassed for Song Yuan inside, and they felt very social just thinking about it. The two of them walked too hastily when they first came in, and the bathroom was dark with no lights on, so they couldn't notice Song Yuan inside at all. This back and forth created such an embarrassing situation. Although it was embarrassing, Lin Zichen was in a hurry to get the video of the underwater ruins, so he didn't think too much and quickly rushed to Lu Juanmu's office with Shen Qinghan. When the two of them copied the video and walked out of the office together, Song Yuan, who had just hid naked in the bathroom and was upset, was now wearing a loose martial arts uniform and sitting on the sofa in the living and leisure area looking at her mobile phone. Seeing the two people coming out, Song Yuan wanted to pretend that nothing happened just now, but her tone was very stiff and said, "Why are you two here so early?" Lin Zichen replied, "Come and copy the video of the underwater ruins that the dean saved on the computer, and show the pavilion master whether he recognizes the mural above. The pavilion master is looking for you." Yes, they said they would live in Hanan and I's dormitory for a while, absorb more blood and accumulate energy to prepare for entering the source. That's it. Sister Yan, let's not talk about it for now. I have to go back to the dormitory before the pavilion master lies down in the coffin to sleep. With these words, Lin Zichen took Shen Qinghan and left the research institute without looking back. On the way back to the dormitory, Shen Qinghan hesitated for a moment, and finally couldn't help but ask, "Lin Ziai, did you see Sister Yan's body just now?" "I saw it." Lin Zichen replied honestly. "The scene just now was so obvious that if you said you didn't see it, you would be fooling a child." "Shen Qinghan, Sister Yan is so clean. Her whole body is white and tender. It's really enviable. Send a proposition, right?" Lin Zichen was not fooled and solved the problem at the speed of light. Anyone can envy Sister Yan, but you can't. You are many times fairer and tenderer than her. Shen Qinghan felt happy after hearing this. Lin Zichen didn't say much to her and walked quickly back to the dormitory. Just a moment. The two of them returned to the dormitory with the copied video. Lin Zichen didn't waste a second. He quickly went into the room to get his tablet and uploaded the copied video to it. Then, click to play the video and put it in front of Qi Qingmo for her to watch. Qi Qingmo was a little curious about the technological product of tablet computers, but he did not study it. Instead, he carefully watched the underwater ruins in the video. When she saw the large mural of water creatures kneeling before a woman, her slender eyebrows couldn't help but twitch. Exactly the same. The underwater ruins in the video are exactly the same as the underwater ruins she entered back then. The murals inside are exactly the same. The content is full of water creatures of extremely high status, kneeling in awe and worshipping a mysterious woman lying on her side in a shell. Moreover, they are all the same woman. Where is this underwater ruin? Qi Qingmo's interest was successfully aroused and he wanted to explore the underwater ruins in the video. Lin Zichen said, disappeared. Disappeared. Qi Qingmo was a little confused. Lin Zichen explained, this video of the underwater ruins was taken by Dean Lu many years ago and preserved. Dean Lu said that after he came out of this underwater ruins, he wanted to go in a second time, but he found that the entrance to the ruins had disappeared. I asked the local fishermen, and they all said that there could be no ruins there, and that Dean Lu must have remembered it wrong. Qi Qingmo looked thoughtful after listening to it, wondering if there was a magic circle set up. After thinking about it, she looked at Lin Zichen and asked, in which sea area is the mysterious underwater ruins in the video specifically located? Shuangru Bay is not far from here. Doubleday Bay. Qi Qingmo remembered the place name in his mind, and then said to Lin Zichen, after I go to the source and come out, I will go to Shuangru Bay to help you take a look. She was very curious about the underwater ruins in the video, but that was just curiosity. The most important thing for her at the moment is to find a way out of the source. All other things have to make way for this. By the way, Pavilion Master, Dean Lu brought out a pearl shell bracelet from that mysterious underwater ruin. I'll show it to you. After Lin Zichen finished speaking, he looked at Shen Qinghan aside and said, Han-in, take out the pearl shell bracelet that the Dean gave you and show it to the Pavilion Master. Okay, I'll get it now. Shen Qinghan said and walked quickly into the room. Then in the blink of an eye, she returned with a pearl shell bracelet. When Qi Qingmo saw this bracelet, his eyes suddenly lit up. Before Shen Qinghan came over, Qi Qingmo drew the bracelet over from the air, holding it in his hand to observe and feel it carefully. This bracelet actually contains such rich spiritual energy of heaven and earth. After observing and feeling, Qi Qingmo's eyes showed a hint of excitement, and he said with disbelief. The pearl shell bracelet contains a large amount of the spiritual energy of heaven and earth that she needs. This amount was large enough for her to continue using all her strength for 3 days. Pavilion Master, does this bracelet contain the spiritual energy of heaven and earth? Lin Zichen said in surprise. He had studied this bracelet many times and found it to be unremarkable. Unexpectedly, it actually contained the aura of heaven and earth from the era Qi Qingmo lived in. This is somewhat unbelievable. Can you give me this bracelet? Qi Qingmo looked at Shen Qinghan and said, I need this bracelet very much now. Of course Shen Qinghan could give it to her, but he didn't say so immediately. Instead, he looked at Lin Zichen aside without any idea. No matter what decision she made, she needed to ask Lin Zichen's opinion first. This was not what Lin Zichen asked her to do, it was simply what she wanted to do. Ever since she was a child, she had been accustomed to being a little girl with no independent opinions, and was used to Lin Zichen making decisions for her. Similarly, Lin Zichen was also used to her eyes like this. The moment she looked over, he decided for her, since you, Pavilion Master, need this pearl shell bracelet very much, of course I will give it to you. After all, this bracelet will not be able to exert its value in our hands at all. It will eventually become a piece of jewelry that is of no use. Only when it is placed in your hands, the Pavilion Master, can it achieve its maximum value. Lin Zichen was licking Qingmo, wishing he could lick her to the sky. Such a big boss with unfathomable strength, if he licked her to pleasure, his own safety would be guaranteed. You can worship him as a foster father, but no, he should be worshipped as a foster mother. Maybe you can walk sideways on the earth from now on. You two are such good kids. Qi Qingmo looked at the two people in front of him, with a happy smile on his face, and then said, after a while, I will go to the source to find a way out, and I will collect evolutionary resources for you as much as possible on the way. Thank you, Pavilion Master. Thank you, Master. Lin Zichen and Shen Qinghan thanked them one after another. Qi Qingmo smiled and said, I should be the one to thank you too. Not only did you send me qi and blood, but you also gave me such a bracelet containing spiritual energy. It is really a timely help. With this pearl shell bracelet, she will have full confidence to enter the unknown land of origin without fear of any opponent. She believed that no matter how unknown the origin was, the creatures inside that majored in origin power would not be stronger than the creatures in the spiritual energy era she lived in. As long as she can use her spiritual power to exert her peak strength, she will definitely be able to dominate the world. No matter what happens, you can retreat without any injuries, so you don't have to worry about being left behind. Pavilion Master, with this bracelet, won't you need to suck Lin Zi's blood? Shen Qinghan asked after hesitating for a moment. Qi Qingmo, that's not true. You still have to suck it. Use a little less spiritual energy. I won't use it until the last moment. If you can rely on qi and blood to maintain your vitality, then it is best to consume qi and blood to maintain your vitality. There is no need to waste the hard-earned spiritual energy of heaven and earth. Oh, that's it. Shen Qinghan nodded. Then quickly, she asked again, Pavilion Master, can I ask what your strength is? She was very curious about Qi Qingmo's biological level. I want to know whether this Tianren Pavilion Master is an epic creature, a legendary creature, or the highest level mythical creature. Faced with Shen Qinghan's question, Qi Qingmo said with a serious look on his face, don't just ask other people about their level of strength. This is an offense, you know. Shen Qinghan was stunned for a moment. After a moment of reaction, he immediately lowered his head and admitted his mistake at the speed of light. I'm sorry, Pavilion Master, I won't do it again in the future. Qi Qingmo didn't dwell too much on this topic. As soon as she had an idea, she took back the ancient bronze coffin she had taken out before. After that, he said to the two of them, I won't rest now. I have to go to Shuangruben to look for the underwater ruins. As soon as she finished speaking, she flashed and disappeared in front of the two of them. The underwater ruins in Shuangruben can actually unearth objects containing a large amount of spiritual energy. You must go and find out now. Lin Ziai, do you think the Pavilion Master can find the underwater ruins? Shen Qinghan asked curiously. Lin Zichen shook his head, I don't know. We won't know until the Pavilion Master comes back. Lin Ziai, I didn't sleep all night last night. I'm so sleepy. Shen Qinghan yawned and said a little listlessly, are you sleepy? Do you want to catch up on your sleep with me? Lin Zichen, I am indeed a little sleepy. Let's go catch up on some sleep. When we wake up, we will go to the research institute. After the two of them finished speaking, they went to the bathroom and washed their faces. Then go back to the room and lie down on the bed to sleep. Since they hadn't slept all night, the two fell asleep almost as soon as they lay down. At 1 o'clock in the afternoon, the sun was shining brightly. Lin Zichen and Shen Qinghan woke up from bed, simply fried a piece of exotic animal meat, cut some exotic fruits, finished eating in a few seconds, and then went out to the research institute. When the two came to the institute, Lu Juanmu and Song Yuan both sat cross-legged on the yoga mats and pounded their acupoints with great concentration, hoping to evolve into advanced creatures as pure-blooded humans as soon as possible. As for Ma Ziwei, she sat cross-legged on the other side and silently learned how to control qi and blood. Thinking of the embarrassing thing that happened this morning, Lin Zichen couldn't help but look at Song Yuan, his eyes unconsciously falling on her round and full semicircular curves. Song Yuan, a mixed-race royal sister, has a really hot figure. If Shen Qinghan's figure is pure, then Song Yuan's figure is dirty and can catch the eyes of any man just by looking at it. Can you really get such a curvy figure if you do yoga every morning? Lin Zichen looked at Song Yuan's figure and thought to himself. At this moment, he wanted Shen Qinghan to do yoga with Song Yuan every morning in the future to shape his figure more gracefully and gracefully. Just when he was thinking about these things, Song Yuan, who was sitting cross-legged on the yoga mat and pounding her acupoints with high intensity, suddenly opened her beautiful light blue Western-style eyes. As soon as she opened her eyes, Song Yuan saw her brother Zichen looking at her upper body without any scruples. In an instant, her pretty face turned red and she felt very uncomfortable. Just now, her mind was full of thoughts about hitting her acupoints. But now, all he could think about was being penetrated by Lin Zichen. My heart is completely confused. When Lin Zichen saw that her face turned red, he realized that his behavior of looking at her was inappropriate, so he quickly looked away from her and stopped looking at her. Fixing weeds in a small garden. Working diligently on piling in the small garden. Collecting morning dew in a small garden. Suddenly, a cell phone ringtone sounded that was not very serious. It was Lu Juanmu's cell phone that rang. When he heard the ringing, Lu Juanmu, who was sitting cross-legged on his yoga mat, immediately picked up his cell phone and answered the call. Who? Deliver a courier. I didn't buy express delivery. After briefly chatting with the other party, Lu Juanmu hung up the phone and murmured, it's strange, why did a courier suddenly come to me? Could it be that some old minister wanted to give me a surprise? After saying that, he looked at Ma Ziwei aside and said to her with a smile, Wai Wei, can you help me go to the door to get the express delivery? Now that there are more members in the institute, he, the director of the institute, doesn't want to do everything himself, but wants to be a bit like a leader in one institute. Well, I'll get it now. After Ma Ziwei finished speaking, she stood up and walked to the door. P.S. Set the bowls, please recommend monthly tickets. End of chapter. Chapter 219 Great Love for the Immortal Master? Great Love for the Evil Cultivator. In less than 2 minutes, Ma Ziwei, who went to the door to pick up the express, came back holding a large cardboard box. Lin Zichen glanced at the cardboard box and his eyes fell on the list on it. The sender was anonymous. It was impossible to tell what was sent. Lu Juanmu walked up and took the cardboard box from Ma Ziwei, wondering, who is so mysterious? With this doubt, Lu Juanmu carried the cardboard box to the table and tore off the seal on it to open it. Just as he tore off the seal, Lin Zichen, who was standing by, suddenly changed his face and hurriedly stopped him. Dean, don't open the box, it's dangerous. Danger sense was beating violently. Opening the cardboard box would cause great danger. Lu Juanmu stopped when he heard the voice and immediately stepped back to distance himself from the cardboard box. Others also stepped back when they saw this. Zichen, what's wrong with this cardboard box? Song Yuan looked at Lin Zichen and asked anxiously. Lin Zichen looked solemn, I don't know, but I just sensed the danger. As he said that, he had an idea and lifted the cardboard box in the air, wanting to throw this cardboard box with unknown dangers out of the research institute and then deal with it. But at the moment when the cardboard box rose, an accident happened. The surface of the cardboard box suddenly grew bright blood-red flower buds at a speed visible to the naked eye. As soon as these flower buds appeared, they matured and bloomed in an instant, releasing a large amount of red pollen. You are suffering from the flower poison of the advanced alien plant blood-swallowing flower, poison resistance +1+1+1+1+1+1. As this prompt message appeared, Lin Zichen felt a little unconscious. This is poisoning. But with the blessing of invulnerability to all poisons, the perception of the 5 senses was fully restored in the next second. Hold your breath, don't inhale this pollen. Realizing that the pollen is poisonous, Lin Zichen immediately reminded the people around him. At the same time, he used the biological attribute storage space and put the cardboard box in with a thought to solve this safety hazard first. On the other side, Shen Qinghan and others had already held their breath and did not inhale any pollen. However, these red pollens do not need to be inhaled at all. As long as they touch the skin, they can immediately poison the prey. It only took 2 seconds. Except for Lin Zichen, the other 4 people were poisoned by the pollen and fell to the ground one after another, and could no longer stand up. Just limbs are weak, consciousness is still clear. What's going on, who is attacking us? Song Yuan asked anxiously. Lu Juanmu was still calm, looking at this method, it is almost certain that it is the work of the divine plant cult. Lin Ziai, the divine plant cult's target is you, run quickly, don't worry about us. Shen Qinghan said anxiously. Ma Ziwei, who fell beside her, also wanted to say something, but her vocal cords were paralyzed and she couldn't speak at all. Lin Zichen stood there motionless, not leaving a few people alone. He knew that he couldn't run away at all. His parents were here, and Shen Qinghan was here too. If he was a member of the Shenzi sect, if he didn't catch the target, he would definitely attack the target's relatives. Calm down. Concentrate. The spiritual field is instantly expanded. Under the effect of high spirit, Lin Zichen dispersed his spiritual power to cover the entire Shanghai University and scan every corner. The first thing to scan was the parents at home, as well as Shen Qinghan's parents. Fortunately, both parents were safe and sound. Lin Yanzheng and Zhang Wangzhen were watching TV in the living room. Shen Jianyi and Su Meng were taking a nap in the room. It's a good thing that my parents are fine. But at this moment, Lin Zichen frowned and didn't relax at all. He scanned the entire Shanghai University. The result was nothing abnormal. I can't sense the existence of alien plants. Isn't it the divine plant religion? Lin Zichen was a little suspicious for a while. However, he didn't relax. He kept radiating his mental power and repeatedly sensed every corner of the field. A few seconds later, in the direction of the administrative building, he sensed 7 extremely strong energy bodies approaching the research institute at a high speed. He looked closely and found that the 7 people were all faculty members of the school. The leader was the director of the school's academic affairs office, and the remaining 6 were tutors in the Evolution Academy. As soon as the laboratory had an accident, or the cardboard box had just been dealt with, these 7 people in the academic affairs office rushed to the research institute immediately. You don't need to look to know that these 7 people are not right. 9 out of 10 are traitors. With this thought, Lin Zichen did not stay in the research institute and wait for death. He rushed out of the research institute as soon as possible and rushed to the crowded teaching building. He has the special biological attribute of social animal. As long as there are more earthlings in a certain range, his strength will be stronger. Unfortunately, just after he rushed out of the institute, he was blocked by the director of the academic affairs office who suddenly accelerated. Student Lin, why are you running so fast in the school? Did you encounter something important? Zhou Ziyi, the director of the Academic Affairs Office, asked in the tone of a school leader. Lin Zichen did not answer, but took a step forward and punched the opponent's forehead. Zhou Ziyi did not expect him to attack suddenly, but he was not panicked at all. He just slightly turned his body and easily dodged his sudden punch. So strong. He is a rare and powerful person. Lin Zichen was shocked, and immediately his whole heart sank to the bottom. He couldn't understand. Subscribe to Chinese Novel Audio Wave. This person is just a small dean of the Academic Affairs Office in the school. How can the biological level be as high as rare? Buzz. 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 Suddenly, a harsh sound broke through the air. A large number of vines suddenly surged out from the surrounding green plants, shooting towards Lin Zichen like arrows. Lin Zichen wanted to hide, but there was no time to hide. As soon as his body moved, dozens of vines entangled him tightly in the next second, making him unable to move. He is quite aware of the danger. He took action as soon as he saw me without any hesitation. Zhou Ziyi looked at Lin Zichen who was tightly bound by the vines, and couldn't help but smile and admire these words. Lin Zichen said in a calm voice, I didn't expect Teacher Zhou to be a traitor to Shenxi cult. Zhou Ziyi smiled, I don't call it rape, I call it opening your eyes to see the world. And you are all idiots with futile ideas and don't know how to adapt. I don't know what survival is at all. After saying that, he ordered the 6 people who came behind him one after another, 6 of you, go to the research institute and take away all the members of the Tianren Pavilion inside. Especially Teacher Song, remember to send her to my bed. I have long wanted to taste her. Yes. 6 people responded in unison. Then he quickly rushed to the research institute without wasting a second. Looking at the background of the 6 people leaving, Zhou Ziyi's eyes were full of excitement. As the dean of the Academic Affairs Office, he has basically taken action whenever he saw a beautiful female tutor over the years. With the simplest means of coercion and inducement, almost all the beautiful and powerless female tutors in Shandali became his playthings in bed. Except Song Yuan. Only the female mentor who joined Tianren Pavilion was not succeeded by him. Song Yuan was so Buddhist that she never thought about promotion and salary increase. She was devoted to the Institute of Pure Humanity, which made him unable to start all these years. Today, he chose to be hard. Directly bring all the people from Tianren Pavilion back to the headquarters in the origin. When the time comes, you can play Song Yuan however you want. Not only Song Yuan, but also Yuan Dongji. Sooner or later, he would have to get his hands on this beautiful woman who often wore a cheongsam dangling in front of his eyes. After bringing Lin Zichen back to the place of origin, completing a great feat, and obtaining rich evolutionary resources, his own strength will be greatly improved. He went to catch Yuan Dongji back, satisfy his lust, and play with this beautiful woman in cheongsam. At the same time, seeing that Zhou Ziyi was distracted by his thoughts, Lin Zichen immediately had an idea and used Lord of the Forest to control the vines on his body and loosen them from his body. Then he flashed and killed the 6 people rushing to the research institute. He wanted to kill these 6 people first to prevent Shen Qinghan and others in the research institute from being taken away. Then, deal with Zhou Ziyi properly. Find a way to defeat this heretic who has been hiding in Shanghai University for many years. Buzz. There was a sound of breaking through the air behind him. Zhou Ziyi moved. His body turned into an afterimage and flashed in front of Lin Zichen. Then, he suddenly pulled a thorn-covered vine in his hand towards Lin Zichen. Lin Zichen reacted very quickly and jumped to avoid the slap. Then he raised his hand and pointed it at the 6 people in front, released his energy and blood with a flick of his finger, and shot the released energy and blood at the 6 people like bullets. Puff. 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 Only a series of dull sounds were heard. The released chi and blood accurately hit the hearts of the 6 people, and quickly destroyed the life structures in the 6 people's bodies, completely wiping out their vitality. Seeing that 6 of his men were killed instantly, Zhou Ziyi was shocked and couldn't believe the scene before him. But he was not shocked for long, and quickly came to his senses and took action against Lin Zichen. As soon as he took action, he used all his strength, directly erupting with rare-level biological pressure. With a bang, he suppressed Lin Zichen in front of him to the ground, unable to move. You can resist the poison of the blood flower and control the vines. You have so many incredible abilities in your body. No wonder the headquarters has to design you. Zhou Ziyi walked up to Lin Zichen, looked at him condescendingly, and smiled with a sudden look on his face. Lin Zichen wanted to break away from Zhou Ziyi's biological pressure, but no matter how hard he tried, his body could not move at all. The pressure of rare-level creatures is too strong. The pressure on him, who was a high-level creature, was like the 5-fingered mountain of the Tathagata Buddha pressing on the Monkey King. It was a completely dimensionally reducing blow. No. Can't sit still and wait for death. If your strength is not enough, you can still use your brain. There must be a way to escape. Lin Zichen's mind was spinning at high speed. Soon. He thought of a way to escape. Suppression is from top to bottom. He will be so pressed that he cannot move. Since you can't break free by going up, you can consider breaking free by going down. Right. Get free. I have the Lord of the Forest, which can control the roots of plants underground to help me escape. Think of this. Lin Zichen immediately and calmly controlled the plant roots underground. Use these plant roots to hollow out the soil below you and create a chance for yourself to escape. To deceive others and delay time. While Lin Zichen was manipulating the roots of the plants, he opened his mouth with great effort and made a sound. You are so powerful, what is your identity? The 8th elder of Shenzi sect. Zhou Ziyi said with a half smile. He didn't care about his identity being exposed, because after doing what he did today, he would enter the source and return to the headquarters of Shenzi sect. Everything on earth will have nothing to do with him anymore. He is actually the 8th elder of Shenzi sect? Lin Zichen was extremely surprised. The 9th elder of the Shenzi sect who appeared in the coastal forest before was able to suppress and beat the rare 3rd level Yuan Dongji. And the director of the academic affairs office in front of him is actually the 8th elder of Shenzi sect. A being stronger than the 9th elder of Shenzi sect. This is so shocking. Lin Zichen stabilized his mind and once again struggled to speak under the biological pressure. Are you strong and then lurking in Shandong University, or are you in Shandong University yourself and later attracted by the Shenzi sect, with the blessing of the resources of the Shenzi sect? Did he become so strong? Zhou Ziyi smiled and said, of course I became so strong after joining the Shenzi cult. After speaking, he continued, Shenzi cult can bring you evolutionary resources that you can't imagine. Once you join, you will realize how stupid it was that you had resisted joining Shenzi cult before. Lin Zichen manipulated the plant roots to hollow out the soil below and asked, what specific evolutionary resources are there? This time, Zhou Ziyi did not answer. Instead, he raised the corner of his mouth and said jokingly like a cat playing with a mouse, Classmate Lin, I know you are stalling for time. Give up, it's useless. All the powerful men of senior rank and above in the province went to the source to resist the beast herd. No matter how much you try to delay, no one will come to save you. I will save myself. Lin Zichen said lightly. As soon as he finished speaking, the soil beneath his body suddenly collapsed with a boom. A deep, bottomless pit collapsed. But when he was above the soil, his whole body fell instantly. Successfully escaped from the suppression of Zhou Ziyi's extremely powerful biological pressure. Disappeared from Zhou Ziyi's sight. Humph, want to escape. Zhou Ziyi jumped into the pit and chased Lin Zichen who wanted to escape. About half a minute later. A location hundreds of meters away from the pit. Suddenly there was a boom and a figure suddenly burst out of the ground. It's Zhou Ziyi. Damn you. Is he fused with the genes of giant alien rats? So capable of digging. Zhou Ziyi cursed loudly in anger. The land under his feet was full of deep pits extending in all directions, and it was impossible to tell which direction Lin Zichen ran. After calming down a bit, Zhou Ziyi looked at the big pit in front and shouted calmly, Classmate Lin, I advise you to come out immediately and get arrested. You don't want anything to happen to your parents who live in the family area, right? Underground. Lin Zichen's expression changed as he listened to Zhou Ziyi's words. What I was worried about finally happened. The family became hostages. The previous words of Deputy Governor Ye Yongsheng were simply not reliable. Why can he protect the territory of Kyushu if he says it can be protected? What a fool. I shouldn't trust others. Think about this. Lin Zichen broke out of the ground and landed on the ground dozens of meters in front of Zhou Ziyi. Seeing Lin Zichen come out obediently, Zhou Ziyi raised the corner of his mouth slightly and said with a smile, Yes, I am very sensible. Your parents will be safe and sound. Lin Zichen asked, Can I say goodbye to my fiancé? Of course not. As soon as he finished speaking, Zhou Ziyi threw the thorn-covered vine in his hand towards Lin Zichen, wrapping him tightly around him. In order to prevent Lin Zichen from escaping, Zhou Ziyi let the spikes on the vines penetrate into his body, locking the blood and energy in his body, making him truly unable to move. At this time, an ethereal female voice suddenly sounded from high in the sky, Not bad, I can escape from being chased by rare creatures. The two people who heard the sound raised their heads and looked in the direction of the sound almost at the same time. Immediately, what caught their eyes was a woman wearing a loose Taoist robe, with an air of immortality. Pavilion Master. Lin Zichen was surprised. Didn't the Pavilion Master go to Shuangru Bay to look for the underwater ruins in the video? How would it appear here? Did you just go and come back? Or when you were far away in Shuangru Bay, you directly sensed what was happening here from a distance of dozens of miles? The power of the Pavilion Master is unfathomable, and this situation is possible. No matter what, it's fine. Since the Pavilion Master has appeared now, it means that I am saved. Deputy Governor Ye Yongsheng? Fuck Deputy State Governor Ye Yongsheng. Pavilion Master Qi King Mo is my supporter. The other side. Zhou Ziyi looked at Qi Qingmo in the sky. Seeing that the other party could actually fly in the air and hover in the air for so long, he didn't even notice it. He couldn't help but panic and asked, "Who are you?" He knows every rare-level powerhouse in Nanjiang province and remembers their faces. As for Qi Qingmo in the sky, he had never seen him before. Not just any ant deserves to know my name. Qi Qingmo said this with indifferent eyes. Then, she stretched out her jade hand towards Zhou Ziyi below, and gently squeezed it through the air. The next moment, Zhou Ziyi exploded into a ball of blood mist on the spot, condensed and hovered in the sky, until it turned into a bright red pill and fell into Qi Qingmo's hand. Lin Zichen looked at the scene in front of him, and his heart was immediately terrified. He recognized the bright red pill. It was the bloodbath pill he had eaten before. Crushing a person into a ball of blood mist, and then condensing it into a pill. The bloodbath pill that can continuously generate blood and qi in the human body is actually made in this way? Is this the great love immortal master? Why does he look like an evil cultivator who relies on killing people to refine blood to practice? P.S. Putting bowls, asking for monthly tickets and recommendations. Chapter 220 Entering the Source. Qi Qingmo put the blood-soaked pill into his sleeve. Then he raised his delicate hand again, pointed it at the 6 corpses on the ground below, and gently squeezed it through the air. The next second, the 6 corpses exploded. They turned into a blood mist that filled the air. Then, at a speed visible to the naked eye, they quickly condensed into bright red pills. Lin Zichen looked at this bloody scene, and the more he looked, the more frightened he became. Killing people to make pills. Is this really the great love immortal master? Those records in the ruins are probably all beautified. The bloody behavior of the pavilion master now has nothing to do with the word great love. In the sky, Qi Qingmo sucked the 6 blood-soaked pills hovering below into his sleeves. After that, it slowly floated in front of Lin Zichen and said lightly, "These 7 blood-soaked pills have just been refined. They need to be processed before they can be eaten. I will give them to you in a few days." "Thank you, pavilion master." Lin Zichen calmed down and thanked him politely. To be honest, after knowing how the blood-soaked pills were refined, he didn't want them anymore. It would be fine if they were made from the flesh and blood of strange beasts. He felt a little uncomfortable to use human corpses to refine them. Qi Qingmo looked up at the administrative building in front of him and said calmly, "There are still many people with the same aura as the 7 people just now. I will help you get rid of them all now." As soon as the voice fell, she flashed and disappeared into the void in an instant. Lin Zichen looked at the place where she disappeared and almost knelt down. Lin has been drifting for half his life, and he only regrets that he has not met a wise master. If the mother does not abandon him, Lin is willing to worship as his adoptive mother. "Mother, please accept my respect." At this moment, Lin Zichen has already determined that Qi Qingmo is his backer. No matter whether she is a great love immortal master or a great love evil cultivator. In the future, I must lick her to the sky and hold this thigh tightly. He calmed down a little. Lin Zichen did not stay there for long, and soon turned around and rushed to the research institute. Go to see how Shen Qinghan and others are doing. After arriving at the research institute, after a look, they were all fine. It's just that their bodies are still a little weak. They can't stand up for a while. "Lin Ziyi, why are you covered in mud?" Seeing Lin Zichen's dusty face, Shen Qinghan couldn't help but worry. Before Lin Zichen could answer, Lu Juanmu next to him asked, "Zichen, was it the traitor of the Shenzi sect who attacked us?" "Yes, it was the traitor of the Shenzi sect." Lin Zichen continued, "Director Zhou of the Academic Affairs Office is actually the 8th elder of the Shenzi sect. He planned this attack. That lecherous dead bald guy turned out to be a traitor of the Shenzi sect." Lu Juanmu was shocked. Song Yuan next door said, "That dead bald guy is not a good person. He coerces and bribes female tutors in the school to have sex with him every day. I am not surprised at all that this kind of person is a traitor. She has a big prejudice against Zhou Ziyi. Because this middle-aged greasy bald guy has sexually harassed her many times. It made her so annoyed that she wanted to resign at one point." "Zichen, what is the specific situation?" Lu Juanmu asked. He really couldn't imagine how Lin Zichen escaped from the 8th elder of the Shenzi sect. This is what happened. Lin Zichen told everyone what had just happened. How did he escape from the hands of the 8th elder of the Divine Plant sect? Then how did he surrender under the threat of the other party? Finally, Pavilion Master Qi Qingmo came to the rescue, and attacked with a dimensionality reduction, killing all around. Pavilion Master is so powerful. Shen Qinghan said with a face full of longing. Before this, her longing object was her master Yuan Dongji. But from this moment on, this longing object became Qi Qingmo. It's not that she changes her mind too easily. But Qi Qingmo is really too exaggerated. Yuan Dongji fought with the 9th elder of the Divine Plant sect and was suppressed by the 9th elder throughout the whole process. Qi Qingmo fought with the stronger 8th elder and easily crushed him. The difference in strength is too obvious. After briefly explaining the situation, Lin Zichen didn't stay in the institute for long. He quickly took Shen Qinghan out of the institute and took her back to the dormitory to rest. When the two returned to the dormitory, Qi Qingmo was sitting on the bronze ancient coffin, quietly studying the pearl shell bracelet on his hand. Seeing Lin Zichen coming back, she said casually, "I have helped you get rid of all the enemies here. If you meet someone with the same aura in other places in the future, I will kill him for you." Hearing this, Lin Zichen really wanted to kneel down. What is a backer? This is a backer. Ye Yongsheng? Trash. Lin Zichen criticized Deputy State Lord Ye in his heart again, and hated this big man who had no credibility. Qi Qingmo didn't know what he was thinking about, but just said lightly, "You go and have a rest, and after you have a good rest, you can give me blood and qi later." Okay. Lin Zichen nodded without thinking. Now he has nothing to give Qi Qingmo. The only thing he can give is to give blood and qi. If you can give more later, give as much as possible, and you must serve this big man well. Thinking of this, Lin Zichen quickly went into the bathroom with Shen Qinghan and took a simple hot shower. Then, go to the room to take a nap and have a good rest. Lin Ziai, I want to try sleeping naked to see if it is more comfortable than wearing pajamas. Shen Qinghan was sleeping, suddenly opened her eyes and turned sideways to say. She remembered the scene of running into Song Yuan naked to go to the bathroom this morning, and then thought of Song Yuan often saying that sleeping naked is very comfortable, and suddenly wanted to try it during this nap. Try it if you want. Lin Zichen responded with a lack of interest. At this time, he was studying the cardboard box in the storage space, curiously looking at the strange seeds in the cardboard box. When Shen Qinghan and others were poisoned in the research institute before, it was the blood-red flowers that took root and sprouted from these seeds that were poisoning. I will definitely try it, but I want you to try it with me. Shen Qinghan stood up from the bed, taking off her nightgown, and said softly. After taking off the nightgown in a few seconds, she sat naked beside Lin Zichen, and said in a coquettish voice. Lin Ziai, how about you sleep naked too? Okay. Lin Zichen took his thoughts back from the storage space, met Shen Qinghan's small request, took off his pajamas and slept naked with her. Seeing this, Shen Qinghan immediately smiled and hugged him and said, I used to sleep with you hugged through pajamas. Now I will try to sleep with you honestly and see if it feels different. Lin Zichen, what difference can there be? Most likely, your bodies are too close to each other, and the stimulation is too great. After a long time, you can't control yourself and then pee all over the bed. No way. Where are you grabbing your hands, little dirty girl? Are you sleeping? It's not like I haven't grabbed you before, why are you reacting so strongly? If you don't let go, don't blame me for giving you a taste of your own medicine. Come on, I'm fearless. Okay, okay, don't keep shouting and begging for mercy, Dad, I was wrong. Ah, Dad, I was wrong, don't grab me. Shen Qinghan was handsome for only 3 seconds, and was soon subdued by Lin Zichen's hands, clamping her legs together and begging for mercy. In a blink of an eye. More than half an hour passed. Shen Qinghan was still sleeping soundly on the bed. Lin Zichen, on the other hand, had already gotten out of bed and dressed in high spirits, and left the room quietly. Have you rested well? Qi Qingmo, who was still sitting on the bronze coffin studying the bracelet, looked up at Lin Zichen and asked. Lin Zichen nodded, yes, I have rested well. Then come and give me a blood transfusion. Qi Qingmo said, and gently lay down on the cover of the bronze coffin, waiting for Lin Zichen to press his hand on her for blood transfusion. Lin Zichen did not waste time, walked quickly to the side of the bronze coffin and stopped, stretched out his hand and pressed on Qi Qingmo's chest, and began to transfuse blood to her. Half an hour passed. An hour passed. 2 hours. The process of transfusing blood and qi lasted for a full 6 hours before it ended. It was completely dark. Most of the blood and qi in Lin Zichen's body was sucked away, which directly made him go from being full of energy at the beginning to being depressed now, as if he had been drained by a woman. On the contrary, Qi Qingmo became radiant and full of vitality. I'll go into hibernation first, and continue tomorrow morning. Qi Qingmo said as he lay down in the ancient bronze coffin. He closed the lid tightly and entered a dormant state to conserve his energy. Lin Zichen said nothing, but silently took out a high-level blood recovery pill and swallowed it to speed up the recovery of blood and qi. As for the more effective blood-bathing pill, since he saw Qi Qingmo killing people to make pills during the day, he couldn't take it in a short time. At the same time, Shanghai City. 20,000 meters underground. In the underground palace, a 3-leaf clover masked man was reporting the situation to a 4-leaf clover masked man. Grand Elder, all the people on the 8th Elder's side have lost contact. All lost contact. The 4-leaf clover masked man, the Grand Elder of the Divine Planting Sect, was full of astonishment on his face. The 3-leaf clover masked man, yes, they all lost contact at almost the same time. The Gu tree couldn't sense their existence, and it's unclear what happened. The Grand Elder of the Divine Planting Sect frowned slightly and fell into a period of contemplation. The Clover-masked man, should we send someone to investigate? The Great Elder of the Divine Planting Sect did not answer immediately. After about 10 seconds, he made a decision. This matter is too strange, there may be fraud, we choose to wait and see, remember not to investigate. In half a month, we will launch an attack on Shanghai City, and no extra things should be done during this period. In the next half month, everything will be based on the plan to capture Shanghai City. The Clover-masked man, I know. The Great Elder of the Divine Planting Sect did not speak again, but thought about the matter about the Eighth Elder again in his heart. The Eighth Elder was eager for quick success and had always wanted to capture Lin Zichen to the headquarters of the Divine Planting Sect. As the Great Elder, he knew it. He thought that the Eighth Elder was most likely in danger. If nothing unexpected happened, it should be that the Eighth Elder attacked Lin Zichen without authorization, and then was killed by the strong man around Lin Zichen arranged by Ye Yongsheng. Thinking of this, the Elder couldn't help but curse in his heart, it's better for this idiot to die, so as not to let him ruin the next plan to capture Shanghai City. The next day. Early morning. Lin Zichen got up early and skillfully placed his hand on Qi Qingmo's chest to deliver qi and blood to her. While absorbing his energy and blood, Qi Qingmo asked in a calm voice, which source entrance is closest to here? It's closest to the entrance to source number 36 of the Nanjiang Provincial Military Region headquarters. Lin Zichen replied. Qi Qingmo nodded, in 10 days, I will enter the source from there. Lin Zichen remembered the undersea ruins in the video and asked, by the way, Pavilion Master, you went to Shuangra Bay yesterday. Did you find the undersea ruins? Could not find it. After Qi Qingmo finished speaking, he continued, however, I found traces of the teleportation circle there, which proves that the underwater ruins do exist. It's a pity that the teleportation circle only left a trace of almost no trace of teleportation, and there is no way to trace the direction of the teleportation. As long as more traces are left, I can find the underwater ruins along the direction of transmission. What a pity! Lin Zichen said with regret on his face. Shen Qinghan on the side also felt pity as he listened. She really wanted to know about the undersea ruins, and she always felt that the undersea ruins had something to do with her. At this time, Qi Qingmo said, transmitting qi and blood through the Taoist robe will cause unnecessary loss, so just put your hand in and stick it. Lin Zichen's eyes widened when he heard this, thinking he had heard wrongly. Put your hand directly into the robe? What's going on with this woman? Is she so open-minded? Logically speaking, shouldn't the older people be, the more conservative they are? Why is she so contrary to common sense? Lin Zichen was puzzled by this. Seeing that he still didn't put his hand in, Qi Qingmo couldn't help but frown slightly and urged. What are you doing standing still? Pavilion Master, men and women are not intimate with each other. Isn't it inappropriate to do this? Lin Zichen expressed his concerns. Qi Qingmo disagreed, the body is just a skin, and the spirit is eternal. What's wrong with just touching an irrelevant skin? This. Come in, don't act like a little girl. Oh well. Seeing that Qi Qingmo was talking about this, Lin Zichen no longer had any worries. After saying that, he put his hand into her robe. The ups and downs of my mind kept sticking to it. The moment he felt the touch on his hand, Lin Zichen's heart trembled slightly. He was actually able to get up close and personal with his hands on the proud capital of such an ancient figure. Unbelievable. Calm. Calm. Don't think about whether these are available. Lin Zichen took a deep breath, and then began to skillfully deliver qi and blood. Shen Qinghan on the side wanted to say something when he saw this, but after hesitating for a while, he couldn't say anything in the end. He could only watch Lin Zichen touching other women. Time flies. In the blink of an eye, it was 10 days later. This morning. After Qi Qingmo sucked up his last breath, he put on the pearl shell bracelet that contained a lot of spiritual energy and flew towards the headquarters of the Nanjiang Provincial Military Region. If she wanted to, she could teleport to her destination in a single thought. But this would cost her spiritual energy, which she couldn't bear to do. More than 10 seconds later, Qi Qingmo appeared in the sky above the Nanjiang Provincial Military Region headquarters, looking down at everything below. Who? Soldiers below discovered her presence. Soon. A large number of mechanical transformers flew out from the base and surrounded Qi Qingmo, who was hovering in midair. Qi Qingmo ignored these mechanical transformation people. After sensing the location of the entrance to the source, she disappeared out of thin air in front of everyone in the next second and teleported into the biological passage below the base. Where are the people? Why did you suddenly disappear? Quickly adjust monitoring. There was chaos in the military area. Within biological channels. As Qi Qingmo went deeper, he carefully looked at the surrounding passage walls, his face full of disbelief as he said. It's actually a living creature. This passage is a bit interesting. Qi Qingmo has lived for so long, and this is the first time he has seen such a special transmission channel, which really opened his eyes. Soon, Qi Qingmo passed through the biological passage and successfully entered the origin that he learned from Lin Zichen. At the moment of entry, she immediately felt keenly that there was an extremely special energy filled in the air. It's not the aura of heaven and earth, but it is no weaker than the spiritual energy of heaven and earth. What kind of energy body is this? Qi Qingmo, who sensed the source of power, felt very shocked. Subscribe to Chinese Novel Audio Wave. Thank you.